Happy Thursday to those who celebrate a very, very happy start to the football season in the NFL. This is a big one for us. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's Thursday Night Football, very special edition of Thursday Night Football on NBC. We're going to see the Chiefs hosting the Lions. There's storylines all over the place. The Chiefs really are the focal point, and we'll get to some of these storylines here with Travis Kelce's injury updates and Chris Jones holdout and contract extension updates. But before we get to any NFL talk, because we got storylines around the NFL, we got to get into the extension we just saw in the Bay Area to a defensive player.
There was an extension here afterwards.
Yeah, there absolutely was. There was a full extension. It was like when you raise a drawbridge. You know what I mean?
Exactly right.
There's an alligator moat, and you're trying to protect the castle, and all of a sudden, what was that? You say 122.5 guaranteed?
Not even blushing. That's accurate.
It's still happening today.
There's so much pressure. It's hydraulics.
They tell you to call a doctor if something happens for more than 4 hours. No doctor
needed.
What
about 40?
I mean, I'm rocking on, I don't know.
Oh,
Anywho.
man. All right. Yeah, Fletch. Okay. Obviously, your excitement for the football season is at a fever pitch, I would argue.
I literally had a hard time going to sleep last night.
I thought you were going to. I thought that plane was landing somewhere else.
Exactly. I thought there's a different word coming after.
I had a hard time falling asleep.
And Kendall was so annoyed with me last night because I kept pushing her and saying, "Hey, Kendall, guess what? Football's back. Football's back.
You want some mac and cheese? You want hot Cheetos?"
She was so mad at me last night.
We have leftovers from draft night.
Are you guys not excited?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, beyond excited.
This is going to be huge. Yeah.
It almost feels like there's a pressure release that's being let go today.
Oh, I feel relieved.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, finally.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
You know who the worst person in the world would be to talk to today would be? Mike Costa. Because he would immediately come in and say, the football season's almost over.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is the stunning realization that you reach when like teams start taking their bye weeks. Like you start thinking I got to adjust the fantasy roster here because I got 4 players on bye in week 7. And then you start doing the math and you're like, wait a second, I only have 10 more weeks of this. What? Where did the time go?
They have 10 more weeks.
Enjoy it while you got it. The NFL season is fleeting. It feels like the playoffs kind of start today because every game is so important. Like the Lions are going to – everything is today. It's just so exciting.
Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good day. So, Travis, where are you going to be watching this game?
Oh, I'll be right at home.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be right at home.
Yeah.
I got the
Do you have a recliner?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You look like you would.
100%.
Okay. So there have been many years I've been asking, like, I just want a leather recliner, just a leather chair I can sit in. That's all I'm asking for. And about 6 months ago, Sarah said, then just go get the damn chair. And then I felt like,
you should get the damn chair.
Well, I felt that way, but then I was like, well, if I get the chair, is she going to be mad? Now I don't know what to do.
Here's the thing. You got to do something, or she's got to do. Okay, either you have to do something so right that the chair shows up and she goes, well, yeah, I mean, he did that one thing that I mean,
right.
Or she's got to do something so wrong that like you're literally licking your wounds going, oh, I better go get that Barca lounger.
And that scenario is not going to happen.
Okay.
Because she would have to admit she was wrong on something, and that doesn't occur.
It just won't happen.
Has there ever been anyone more poised for a sponsorship of like a recliner?
No.
In the history of the universe?
And that's what we're doing today. We're asking anyone out there.
Yeah. Mr. Lazy Boy.
Yeah. I just want a nice
saddle brown.
A saddle brown leather chair. That's all I'm looking for.
I could see Travis having like the same recliner for 25 years and the elbow pads are all like cracked and wrinkled and broken.
Sounds perfect.
Like when company comes over, Sarah throws a throw blanket over the top of it because the part that your head leans against is so just worn and greasy,
dry or white,
just from years.
And in like 10 years,
fading the dye from the leather.
Sounds perfect.
When Christmas is at the Dale house and Haley has a little kid running around and the little kid runs up to the recliner.
A little bit.
Sorry, I said it like 10 years. And the grandkid starts running up to Grandpa's recliner, trying to get the hell away from there. That's Grandpa's recliner.
Don't tug on that. My legs will go up. Ow, dang it. Sarah, my back went out.
You should get a recliner.
I'm you know what? That's the next goal right there.
Good.
That's the
good.
next goal.
I mean, when you get it, I want only pictures of Travis in his recliner.
There needs to be a TikTok series of
Not
you,
gonna be hard.
of you reclined all the way back, just giving your opinion on life and politics. And
It's got to
Okay.
be a rocking
All right.
recliner.
It has to be a
Yeah.
rocking recliner. I mean, give me a break. I have to rock.
So-
When we got our outdoor patio furniture, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I'm like, no, we're not doing the stationary chair thing
No.
anymore.
Mm-mm.
This thing has to rock.
When you pause or mute whatever you're watching on the television, there's just an audible hum in the room, and everybody's looking around like, "What is that?" And you just realize it's Dad. It's Travis in the corner, just going, like my grandpa
This
used to
sounds
do.
accurate. It
at
sounds
all times,
completely accurate.
you'll have one of those actual tins of popcorn. It won't be like a bag of
no.
popcorn.
The
It's
one
a-
that has like the three.
Yeah.
It's like cheese, regular, or caramel.
Caramel, yeah.
And it's left over from last Christmas.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got jolly old Saint Nick on the and the tin's all dented from the many times that you've accidentally put your drink down too hard on it.
We gotta
Yeah.
get you a recliner.
I still have a scar on my head from when I was a kid, and my brother threw me across the living room. I hit my head on the recliner.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did that to my let's see it. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, right over there. Yeah, you have a dent in your head.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense now.
My younger brother, we were playing forts, and then I stormed his fort and sent him reeling into the pull-out bed from the sofa, and he hit all the machinery on the side, all the hinges and joints, split his head wide open. Anyways, look, I think what we're trying to say is we're excited for the NFL season. I mean, no question
More
about
split
it.
open heads.
Yep. Yep. This is a long wait, and we could actually use that for either one, for the start of the NFL season, or frankly for Nick Bosa's contract, because this could have happened really any time. It would have been an appropriate time, but
Yeah.
we waited all the way up until days away from kickoff.
That was the one thing that I couldn't help myself but thinking yesterday. So you waited until 4 days before your first game to give him exactly what he wanted the whole time. And I'm glad they did. Like, it was necessary. If there's one person you're going to pay on that team, it's Nick Bosa. But you waited all the way till 4 days to just do what he was asking for the whole time. Why not just start there? Like, why not get that done earlier?
The reality of negotiations are, and I've always said this, deadlines make decisions. It's almost, I mean, it's not useless, because he could have been practicing with everybody. Training camp would have been less stressful for the team, for the front office, for the players who may have had some level of worry about whether or not he was going to sign before the start of the season. But deadlines always make decisions. Like, yeah, they could have offered him the moon and nobody would have batted an eye, but maybe from a front office standpoint, after you whiff so hard on the Trey Lance pick, and all of that is very publicly known, and then you trade him away for a fourth rounder, which is a paltry sum of draft picks compared to the 3 first rounders that you traded away to get him in the first place, and all the salary that you've dumped into Trey Lance.
That's old news.
Maybe, but no. But it affected the Nick Bosa thing, because maybe the front office, maybe John Lynch was like, yeah, so we can't do that. And then with the same breath go, okay, cool. Hey, Jed York, owner of the 49ers. I know we really screwed up there, but could we give Nick Bosa 122.5 guaranteed?
Right.
Is that cool with you?
What else puts everything in perspective is you see the contracts that players in baseball get. Like, Manny Machado has a $300 million deal. Fernando Tatis Jr. has a $300 million deal. Xander Bogaerts has a $300 million deal. Nick Bosa just signed the highest paid contract of all time for a non-quarterback at 122 guaranteed, 170 overall. It's a different world that they're playing in. And it's kind of wild that the NFL's popularity is here, but baseball's contracts are here.
Well, I'm sure that there are a multitude of costs in the NFL that are not in Major League Baseball. So that well, maybe that's wrong. No, that'd be right. Look, they're trying to turn a profit, and there's a profit margin that needs to be kept at all times. So if paying Manny Machado on the Padres $300 million still turns that percentage of profit, and that percentage of profit is the same over in the NFL, those contracts might be less.
Well, and also you got to remember two things at once. And it's difficult to keep this in your head when you see, reports that Shohei Ohtani could get a $600 million contract, because they're like, what?
Yeah.
How is that even possible? But when you see $600 million, you got to remember, like, he's going to be taking the roster spot, well, before the injury, of two players.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like if you're paying a $30 million pitcher and a $30 million hitter, which many NFL teams do. They have $30 million players on their roster.
Right.
I mean, Aaron Donald, we're talking about rarefied air, but same in baseball. You're talking about rarefied air when you're talking about some of the highest paid players in baseball. You got to look at annual salary. Then it starts to make a little bit more sense. You got to look at promised yearly salary from a team. Like the Padres right now are up over $200 million for this year, but for many years, the Padres were less than $100 million in payroll. I mean, for many years. Peter Seidler, this is brand new. And I hope it lasts. It may not, but I hope it lasts for his entire tenure as an owner. The Yankees, huge market, obviously Dodgers, huge market. Chicago Cubs have been up there in the top 5 many times. Makes sense. Like the baseball ownership, they'll fool you and say, like, we're all broke, but they profit share and they make money hand over fist.
And there's 162 baseball games every year. There's 17 football games.
And you get to sell 81 in your market.
Right. So I'm sorry I even brought up baseball. That's not where this was supposed to go.
Well, anyways, the point is
Nick Bosa is rich.
Nick Bosa is very rich. And here's the crazy thing about this contract. Like you mentioned, the weight. I mean, now it brings up a situation with Chris Jones where, like, the focus of the entire NFL world has now shifted to Kansas City and going, hey, so wait, why did they pay their guy and you guys haven't paid your guy?
The one thing I would say is age. Nick Bosa is in his mid-20s. Chris Jones, I think, is 31. Like, that's a big difference when it comes to the NFL football player. And Chris Jones, it seems like he's pretty happy to wait out till the trade deadline. Like, that's kind of what he said. And he was at a charity event last night. And he said, look, I could play tomorrow. I could be on the field tomorrow for the Chiefs. They know how I prepare. I know the offseason workouts. I've been doing everything. I just need a raise. And so where he's trying to get to is that $24 million that he was going to make this year to somewhere in the 30s. So it's a little more comparable between Aaron Donald, Nick Bosa, some of the higher paid defensive players in this league. And by the way, like Nick Bosa, Chris Jones deserves it. He is one of the best defensive players in the National Football League. And I just don't know if the Chiefs are going to budge.
Well, and it's what is it worth to the Chiefs? I mean, that's what it boils down to. If his price is not worth it to the Chiefs, they will not pay the price. Nick Bosa obviously was worth it to the Niners. Why the wait? Because they were trying to get the price down. I mean, that's it. And he was dug in firm. I'm sure that his agents were like, nah, you can get that. It will happen. Just wait it out. And that's why they waited so long.
There were reports yesterday that, like, 30 of the other 32 NFL teams would have paid Nick Bosa. Like, that was some agent said that anonymously, of course. So I think that progressed things a little bit.
Well,
and it was the guaranteed money that was holding everything up. Like, I think the size of the contract was fine with the 49ers. It's paying him 122 guaranteed when he could go out and get hurt right away. Like, that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. It is. It's a tremendous amount of money. So Chris Jones is on the final year of a 4-year, $80 million deal where he's owed $19.5 million, which is ridiculously low considering his production. He's also 29. So, I mean, he's not that old. You sign him to a 4-year deal, another one. I mean, that's going to be his retirement deal, most likely. But I mean, he's got good playing years left.
Is this the Chiefs' MO, though? Because when Tyreek Hill wanted the big extension, they let go of him maybe a year early.
They're doing what the Patriots did with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
They're going to let you get old somewhere else, get old and expensive somewhere else. So Tyreek Hill starts making waves about all of his demands, and they go, okay, bye-bye. We'll send you off to Miami. And you can be good for Miami. We'll still be good here. Same with the Patriots. How many guys left New England before they were really done and wrung out? Vince Wilfork went to Houston, had a lot of successful years with the Texans before he retired. Wes Welker had a couple more good years with the Rams and the Denver Broncos before he retired. They just don't let players get old and expensive on their roster. And that's exactly what the Chiefs are doing. And the reason why they can do it is because they have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Mahomes took the sweetheart deal, the hometown discount, because he wants to stay a Chief essentially for life, at least for now. And as a result, they can use him as a bargaining chip against Travis Kelce, against Nick Bosa, or excuse me, against Chris Jones, against any player who's going, Tyreek Hill last year, any player who's going to come up to the front office and be like, you need to pay me a boatload of money. They're going to say, well, literally the best player in the NFL who's on our rush, he's right over there. That guy, you see
Pat.
He's got the curly hair. He's got the weird frog-like voice. He sounds like Kermit.
What's up, guys?
Yeah. Hey, I took the hometown discount. So did you. Why do you sound like Yoda? Because I am. No, it's bad.
Yeah, well, the other thing that they've done is they've created a winning culture. So you want to be on a winning team?
Yeah.
You might have to take a little discount.
And I think that they understand that the only person who's important to their success is Patrick Mahomes. Everything else will get figured out along the way. So they don't need a top defense in the NFL.
Yeah.
They don't need a great wide receiver one in the NFL. They need a Patrick Mahomes.
I'll tell you what, it sure helps, though.
Sure does.
Sure helps.
So that leads us straight to the Travis Kelce thing. Who are the Chiefs if Travis Kelce isn't on the field? And now I do think that's a big hit. So DraftKings, as of this morning, has his over-under for snaps taken at 0.5.
Yeah.
Meaning it's a does he play or does he not?
Yeah. When you have a situation where a guy's questionable after hyperextending his knee during practice. Well, it's a bone bruise, but it occurred when he hyperextended his knee. Now, here's the other thing about MRIs, and I don't know if he got a second opinion. I hope he did. But when you get an MRI from a team doctor, there's a lot of, hey, yeah, it's just this. There's no way you can do any further damage. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And guess what you can do by playing hurt? Further damage yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a part of the NFL. Nobody can guarantee your safety out there. So I hope he got a second opinion. Maybe it'll give him some pause. But now we have fantasy football owners across the United States who took Travis in their top 5.
Me.
Going, yeah, all 3 of us in different leagues. All 3 of us. Okay, but there's a lot of people listening to this show that feel the same way. Do you start him? Don't you start him? Ben, tell everybody the advice that you heard. I think it's great advice.
Okay, so coming into tonight, we won't know if Travis Kelce is going to play or not, probably until pregame warmups, and there will be a tweet, so you got to be ready for this. So leave him in your starting lineup for today. Don't make any rash moves. Don't drop somebody that you spent draft capital on to go pick up a backup tight end somewhere. Not worth it. Leave Travis Kelce in your active roster until tonight when we get the for sure word whether or not he's going to play. If he's not going to play, drop him down to your IR spot. Most leagues have one. If it doesn't, talk to your commissioner and get one. Drop him down to your IR spot. Pick up someone who's playing on Monday Night Football. Dawson Knox is still available in pretty much every single league.
What about Noah Gray, backup tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I wouldn't do that, but I would start Sky Moore.
2 balls in his NFL career.
Start Sky Moore immediately
playing
if
for
Travis
12
Kelce isn't
years.
playing. Sky Moore is going to have a breakout season.
I
as a
thought
wide receiver.
Rich was drinking an ice cold aluminum can Coors.
I wish you were.
Just casually. Yeah,
wow.
just having my morning casual. It's the start of the NFL season. So
got
I'm
a party.
Yeah, we got a party.
Other storyline for tonight, Andy Reid, 9-1 as the Chiefs head coach in week 1 games. Patrick Mahomes perfect in week 1 games.
Shocker.
Nobody wants to see Andy Reid after a bye. Nobody wants to see Andy Reid in a season opener. The guy, he's just a magician. He's a great, great game planner. And this is a game plan offense. They shift things every single week so that they're giving you a different look. And the frustrating thing about being their week 1 opponent, they're going to throw some crazy mess at you. And here's the reason why. If you throw a bunch of things at the Lions that you don't plan on doing for the rest of the season, it steals reps from every team that you're going to be facing for the rest of the season at practice. Because guess what? You put in a double reverse pass.
Ring around the rosy.
Yeah, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, then you force these teams from this point forward to work on those plays at practice.
And Andy Reid almost gets off on that. Like he's just playing that mind game with other teams across the NFL.
I don't know if you're allowed to say that.
Yeah, it's fine. Patrick Mahomes' career in week 1, 1,542 passing yards, 18 touchdowns, no interceptions, 136.9 passer rating.
Yeah. pretty good.
It's
Pretty
like
good.
It's
unreal.
all right. It's all
Yeah.
right.
And if you look at his stats in September as a whole, he might be the best September quarterback of all time.
I think
already.
I think he's going to be okay. I really
Yeah.
do. I think this is the year where it clicks in for him.
Yeah.
Remember
right.
last year, like everyone was freaking out about Tyreek Hill not being on the team and that Patrick's production would go down. 2022 week 1, Patrick Mahomes 360 yards, 5 passing touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah. Yeah. That was his best week 1.
Right. I'm interested to see just how they look. It's probably going to take the whole weekend of just seeing the teams come out and whether or not I can gauge if the Chiefs will be back to the AFC Championship on week 1.
My favorite line of the week was what Dan Campbell had to say about Patrick Mahomes, though. Because, I mean, look, that is all anybody's curious about is like, hey, Detroit, like, what the hell do you do against the best player maybe who's ever walked the planet? This was Dan Campbell's response.
They can go backwards and never turn around where he can throw back that way, just that way. That would be about the best way to sum it up. Yeah, look, this guy he's tough, and that's the easy answer to all this. He is a highly competitive, highly instinctive, aware player.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a good plan.
Make him go backwards. Make him try to throw it towards his own end zone.
Yeah.
It's weird. The Chiefs offense started off with 3 straight safeties. How did this happen?
So on YouTube, Paris says football, best Thursday ever.
Mm-hmm.
He also says, so Fletch had a Bosa all night.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yep.
Jared
Raging
says
Bosa.
only football talk from here on out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, I
Well,
mean,
we have one update for the Padres. It won't come for another 20 minutes. And
They lost.
well, it's not just that they lost, it's who they lost.
Oh, yeah. That is heartbreaking.
We're going to have to play a little Sarah McLachlan here in a little bit.
Oh.
We're going to miss you. But first, we got some Chevelle tickets to give away. We got some Aztecs tickets to
I
give
was like,
away.
what is it? Is it feet?
Yeah. I got to talk to you about my feet. No, not yet, but I will. Coming up next, more NFL storylines to start the 2023 football season. Woo!
More NFL storylines up next.
This update is presented by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. The wait is over. The NFL is back. It's the Chiefs. It's the Lions. It is week 1 of the 2023 NFL season, all starting tonight. NBC, 5:30. Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth on the call. Cannot wait. Patrick Mahomes looks to continue his perfect record in week 1 games, but he might have to do so without his favorite target, Travis Kelce. He is questionable for the game with a bone bruise. He's going to be going through workouts this morning to see if he can go. He is a game-time decision. Elsewhere in the NFL, 49ers gave Nick Bosa a record-breaking extension yesterday. The reigning defensive player of the year, he got a 5-year, $170 million deal with $122.5 of that guaranteed. This makes Nick Bosa the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Padres fall yesterday 5-1 to the Phillies at Petco Park. Just 6 home games remaining in the season for the Pods, 21 games left on the year. Padres 7 games out of the wild card. This update was presented by NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Big Rashidi and Fletch, San Diego Sports 760. We just remembered. I mean, if we didn't just remember, we were talking about it, all week long.
For like a month.
Yeah, for like a month. We've been like, don't forget, September 7th is Thursday, so we must ask you a question, so we'll make sure it's on the rundown.
I can't believe how much of a surprise our show is to me some mornings. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. Travis brought in a box. I wonder what that's for.
You want to know what's even worse? I must ask you a question on the tweet before the show, but I didn't put it on the rundown.
It's cool.
Dude, when I was working on the rundown this morning also, as I'm like going through, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be all NFL. I mean, we'll talk one thing, Padres, because somebody on the Padres is very important to us. It's a little bit of an angst, but okay. So I'm typing away. And not once did I think like, yeah, this is, I just thought it was complete. I felt really good about it.
Yeah, well, we got Chevelle tickets.
8:15.
Chevelle's going to be at the Cal Coast Credit Union Amphitheater October 2nd. You can go to Ticketmaster.com for tickets or just keep listening for your chance to win. We also have a pair of Aztec tickets who will be playing UCLA this Saturday at 4:30, Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets and info, goaztecs.com, or just keep listening for your chance to win. Possibly at 8:15.
Possibly.
I think 8:15. So 2 guests today. Travis, you're gonna have to explain one of them, but the first one, Soren Petro, one of the sports radio
There's a lot
goats
to
in the
explain.
United States of America. He hosts the program out in Kansas City. He's gonna come on at 7:30. I think he just had Patrick Mahomes on his show pretty recently.
Mhm,
We'll
mhm.
talk to Soren.
Yeah. Excited for that.
Yeah, then at 8:30, we're going to be talking with Eric Tata from Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, possibly the greatest barbecue place on planet Earth.
I'm so excited to talk to him. So I've eaten there. It is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Kansas City in general is one of my favorite places to visit. I never visited outside of my playing career, but during my playing career, going there, the restaurants they're so polite to you.
Mhm.
It's that Midwest sweetness where like somebody walks up to you and you've just sat down and like, oh, I'm sorry for the wait. I got so many tables tonight. And you're just like, we just got here. Everything's fine. Here's
Literally just sat down.
Here's some waters and some lemon and some Splenda. You can make your own lemonade. Just like, what?
Men's Health
How'd you know?
Magazine. Men's Health Magazine named Joe's Kansas City Barbecue America's manliest restaurant.
Yes.
And that's us.
That's
Yeah.
us.
I mean, men.
So, Rich, I've always heard what you just said about people from Kansas City, that they're very sweet and very polite.
Yeah.
Always confused me that Brian Long was from Kansas City.
Right.
Great guy. I
mhm.
respect him a lot.
Yep.
I would not consider him like overly nice.
He's a foul-mouthed angel. He's a he's a saint, and
Yeah.
we miss having him around here. But
like, really great dude.
yeah.
I wouldn't consider him nice.
Well, to you, not really.
Yeah, he was nice.
You faced the brunt of it because, for whatever reason, he was like, "Look, I need somebody in the morning who I could just yell at." So that I could get all my,
Right here.
all my anger out. And so the rest of the time, it'd just be cool. So Ben would get called into the office first every time we did something stupid and be like, this one's on you, Ben. I can't believe you let them do it. And Ben would be like,
That was always the line.
I'm 26. I mean, Travis has kids my age, and Rich, I mean, I can't restrain him. And then Brian goes, you find a way. And then
It's on you.
me and Travis come walking in the office. We're like, hey, boss. And be like, hey, what's going on, fellas? You see my Patty Mahomes. She's doing it again.
Finger gun.
Maybe he is nice. Maybe I'm just hateable.
Well, you do have that face.
Could be. Brian Long also
That punchable face.
underneath the exterior of quick wit and quick answers of no. He did have a gigantic heart.
He did.
He
Yeah.
does have
Yeah,
a.
we
He's not
missed him.
dead.
And he's excited tonight. If there's one person I know I'm going to be firing off a text to at some point today,
Yeah.
it's going to be something to the tune of like, hey, yeah, good luck this season without Chris Jones. Goodness gracious, that's a real misstep. Pull his chain a little
Yeah.
bit.
Air quotes bone bruise.
Yeah. What's interesting is when you look around the NFL and you widen the aperture from just Thursday night football and you think to yourself, like, okay, what else are we going to see? There's a lot of new. There's a lot of changes. And I mean, look, I don't think we need to start here, but because you are such a lifelong Broncos fan, we have to. Sean Payton, the rebuild of Russell Wilson, what stage of the rebuild do you think we're going to be at? Like, is this a finished product or?
Well, this is what causes pause for me is there have been maybe 25 times now that Sean Payton has kind of thrown out an excuse of a reason why Russell Wilson is not back to form
Right.
of Russell Wilson of Seahawk days where, it was coach's fault. It's 20 dirty hands. It's, even after he apologized for putting his foot in his mouth from, calling out Nathaniel Hackett, worst coach ever in the history of mankind, he still threw in like these little digs of like, yeah, I mean, we got a lot to work on here. There's a lot to fix, I think is how he put it.
Yeah.
Which to me makes me go, wow, if you're already throwing out that many excuses, you're not real confident of how he's going to look out there. I do think that Sean Payton is a fantastic coach. I love the fact that he's in Denver as a Bronco fan. I love the fact that he's back in football as a football fan. I think it's great. However, I don't know. I mean, how many stages are there in the rebuilding process? 10 stages? If there's 10, we're at stage 1.
Yeah.
I mean, last year was a disaster, which means you got to start to rebuild right now.
I look at their offense and I think with some of the injuries that they have entering the season, they're going to have to get the ball out of his hand fast.
Real fast.
So I think we're going to see a lot of 3-step drop, a lot of, get the ball out on bubble screens and short routes, crossing routes, slants to receivers as quickly as possible. Just get him in a rhythm really fast, which means your offensive line has to keep defensive linemen's hands down. It's going to be a little bit less Russell Wilson, what we're used to seeing, like pushing the vertical part of the game in the field.
Yep.
And it's going to be a little bit more Drew Brees.
And if you remember what Brees was really good at, some of his best years were with Michael Thomas and 5-yard slants.
Yeah.
And they made a killing off of that. Michael Thomas was Offensive Player of the Year with that offense. Another thing you'll love, Travis, at least they're playing the Raiders week 1.
Yeah, I don't know how much I love that.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much I love it. I feel like the Raiders also have a lot to prove. I also feel like the Raiders always want to beat the Broncos, and there's always a bit of a hex on the Broncos when they play the Raiders.
And there's
a
Max
lot of...
Crosby who's going to be trying to murder Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and the Raiders, to me, looking at the Raiders and the Broncos, I feel like they're pretty even as far as teams go. If you're just looking at the Raiders probably have a better personnel lineup at this point with the injuries on the Broncos. So I don't know. I think it's going to be a very close, contested matchup once again.
Yeah. It's going to be a kind of like a who score first situation, who's chasing who, because, I don't love it when Jimmy Garoppolo is chasing. And I mean, just based off last season, I don't love it when Russell Wilson is chasing points because I don't think he does well under that pressure anymore. Or at least he didn't last year.
We look at the Broncos last year, literally the first 12 games of the season, they couldn't score a touchdown.
No.
It just couldn't happen. And it actually wasn't till Hackett left that they all of a sudden started to have some offense. However, it was at the end of the season, and there wasn't a lot riding on games that they were playing. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting.
Bouncing around a little bit here, and we'll continue with week 1 storylines today and tomorrow. But the Jets, they're going to face the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football. Now, we have a little time to think about this, but yeah, what a start for Aaron Rodgers and New York and Robert Saleh and this defense who obviously secured their future with signing their defensive linemen. Like, you've got a lot of pieces that fell in place for the Jets. Does it all coalesce and come together in time for Monday night?
What a brutal week 1 assignment from the NFL. Because, yes, all the stuff on the field, like the Buffalo Bills have had one of the best rosters in the NFL for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Josh Allen entering, is it year 4 or year 5?
Year 5, I believe.
I mean, he's almost to the point where you can call him a seasoned NFL quarterback, and he's been here and done that. Now, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets and Buffalo Bills, all New York oriented teams, right? That's also 9/11. So you're talking about the emotions that come into this game as well. On Monday Night Football, that the world is going to be watching, and the pregame is going to probably be extended as they do some sort of tribute. Like, there is a lot happening with that Monday night game.
Well, and I don't think there's any team with more eyeballs on them than the Jets.
Yeah.
And then the Bills, you have the DeMar Hamlin story as well. So, I mean, there are a lot of things weaved into a opening Monday Night Football game. And I'm here for all of it.
Yeah,
I mean, sign me up.
I think it's an awesome matchup. Obviously, from the juice standpoint, everybody's going to be watching. Obviously, like you mentioned, Ben, the remembrance of that fateful day in the United States, and really how sports intertwines with that. There's so many memories from, George Bush throwing out the first pitch in that Mets game, Piazza's first home run. It kind of it felt like we could safely celebrate, American traditions again in public together without worry or concern. I'm sure people were still worried. I know people were still worried. But it's going to be intense. That's the one thing that I really kind of love about this week 1 scheduling. When you look around and you look at some of these matchups, like, there's no fair dodging for a lot of these teams.
No.
Like, you're going to find out about yourself pretty early here in the season.
Yeah. So speaking of week 1 in the NFL, on San Diego Sports 760, we got 3 games for you on Sunday, 9:30. That'll start coverage for the 49ers and Steelers, 2 of the best defenses in the NFL going at each other. Rams, who play the Seahawks, that'll be at 1:25. And then at 4:45, we will have Cowboys Giants. All 3 of those games will be heard right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Yeah. Yeah. The NFL coverage will continue right here as well throughout the season. San Diego Sports 760 is your home for NFL in San Diego. San Diego was also home to a very special signing off the waiver wire this season. And something unfortunate happened yesterday that we need to address, and we will. And we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you. That's next. You're our boy, Scorpio. You're a boy. We'll miss you. Yeah.
Don't let your life pass you by.
So it's difficult sometimes delivering the news of the day.
The memory.
In a 5-1 loss yesterday, to the Philadelphia Phillies, we lost a very special friend named Gary Sanchez.
Shmurry Panchez.
I haven't said his name in so long.
Mm-hmm. Sustained a fractured right wrist when he was hit by a pitch by Phillies reliever, Jeff Hoffman.
God. Can you imagine Ben's life devastation if he fractured his right wrist?
Especially after that
man?
Bosa signing. Especially after Nick Bosa got that contract.
That's what I'm saying.
Good Lord.
That's what I'm saying. Be disastrous.
I mean, Gary, he spent the first 7 seasons of his Major League Baseball career with the Yankees, a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah, whatever.
Were there ups and downs? Yeah, sure. Did he spend a little time with the Mets in Minnesota? Fine.
You're all right, buddy.
Okay.
You're all right. We'll make it through it.
But after the 2021 season, and that time with the Giants and the Mets and the Twins, San Diego picked him up. And he was a perfect fit.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
As a battery mate, he hit it off with Snellzilla.
Oh, God.
Got in a groove with Musgrove.
Oh, God.
He even found a way to work with you. Not you, but Darvish.
Well, he worked with me.
And then he was just smacking bombs and calling moms.
19 of them.
Gary Sanchez was the energy starter. He was the party maker. He was so good that we said his name once and he had an ice cold night. We stopped saying his name just in superstition's sake. So we started calling him Mary Bamchez.
Yeah.
Or Larry Slamchez.
Or
codename Scorpio.
God dang, because he'll sting you.
He'll sting you.
He'll sting you.
I don't know where we go from here, but
Nowhere good.
I'll tell you what. The Padres wouldn't even be close to where they're at today
yeah,
without Scorpio.
you're damn right.
You know what the sad part is?
What's that?
That's true.
It's actually a true factual statement. It's true.
Oh, this show got
God.
behind Gary early and often, and we were with you from the jump. And I know he's listening this morning.
Yeah, he is.
Gary, if you're out there driving around right now, 844-570-1360, we'd love to talk with you.
We actually really would.
So give us a buzz. Jeez, wow. We lost a good one out there.
Yeah, we did.
Fracture wrist. We're probably not
Yep.
going to see him for the rest of the
Yep.
season. Although I will say this. He has made it very clear he has interest in returning to the Padres in 2024. And that interest is mutual as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, let's make that very clear. We are interested in having you back, Scorpio.
You don't have a feeling he's just going to go wherever Blake Snow goes?
10-year, $600 million. I want him to get the Ohtani deal here in San Diego.
Listen, it's worth it.
I know a lot of people are saying, Rich, that is a ridiculous amount of money to pay a backup catcher.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
You don't tell me how to spend Peter Sadler's money.
That's right. That's right. You know what? And listen, he deserves $600 million. If he can't do it in 10 years, give him a 100-year contract.
You know what I love about Gary Sanchez? God, every time I say his name, I get. He's the ultimate underdog.
Yeah, he is.
And I want to talk to everybody about underdog fantasy right now.
I'd bet on that.
Dude, he's fourth on the Padres in homers.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead,
It's okay.
Rich.
It's really impressive
You're
season.
damn right he is.
Which, by the way,
He wasn't here the whole season, by the way.
with underdog fantasy, you could have picked him in some of the higher lowers on the pick'ems, like Gary Sanchez. I mean, you could have made a lot of dough. You could have made a lot of dough.
It's weird our phone's not ringing
Yeah,
after we asked Gary to
Gary,
call
we
in.
said it's 844-570-1360. Just call anytime. Thanks, Gary. Underdog Fantasy has a new way to play alongside your favorite football team or baseball team as the baseball season is winding down here. But all season long, get to the Underdog Fantasy app. And here's what I need you to do. Sign up immediately with promo code XTRA. That's XTRA. Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy promo promo code XTRA. You could go to underdogfantasy.com as well. I use this app all the time. I've got like 6 bets in ahead of ahead of the NFL season. Like, I am so jacked for this. It's so much fun. You just go to the pick'em. It's my favorite way to play, and you can pick between 2 and 5 players on these fantasy pick'ems. You just pick whether they're going to go higher or lower in their game stats, and then you're off to the races watching Thursday night football, the Sunday slate of games over the weekend, Monday night football between the Bills and the Jets. Whatever game you're interested in, you'll pique your interest in watching through the lens of underdog football. So again, get over to the app or get over to the website, underdogfantasy.com, or download the Underdog Fantasy app. And when you sign up, promo code XTRA, and Underdog Fantasy will double your initial deposit. Okay, coming up next, we got some rule changes around the NFL for 2023 we got to catch up on. Also, Soren Petro, host of the program on Sports Radio 810 Kansas City, joins us on the other side.
Hour 2, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. The wait is over. The NFL is back. Chiefs, Lions tonight at 5:30 on NBC. Patrick Mahomes looking to continue his perfect record in Week 1 games, but he might have to do so without Travis Kelce. He is officially questionable for the game. Going through some workouts this morning. They will see if he can play. Elsewhere in the NFL, 49ers gave Nick Bosa a record-breaking extension yesterday, the reigning defensive player of the year. He got a 5-year, $170 million extension. 122.5 of that is guaranteed. This makes Bosa the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Padres fall yesterday 5-1 to the Phillies at Petco Park. 6 home games left for the season for the Pods. 21 left in the year. Padres 7 games out of the wild card spot, again with 21 left to go. NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. That's who the update was presented by.
Woo! Happy Thursday to those who celebrate. It is a very happy Thursday here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. The NFL football season is kicking off tonight, right around 5 o'clock on NBC, a special edition of Thursday Night Football on NBC. A lot of people are like, well, is this one of those Amazon Prime games? Like, do I need an app for this one? Nope. You just get your regular old TV. As long as it has an antenna, you're going to be able to watch this one.
If you don't have that, Peacock will have it.
Yeah, Peacock. You could stream it live there as well. I'm sure there's other outlets.
Swing by Best Buy, get some bunny ears.
Yeah. Yeah.
TV.
Aluminum foil.
Yeah.
All that works still. Yeah, so it's a big one. We got the Chiefs hosting the Lions. The Lions, okay, last season, let's just discuss this real quick before we get into some of these NFL rule changes, because there's one in particular that could have a huge impact on a lot of NFL rosters. And coming up in just a little bit, we're going to check in right at the site of the game in Kansas City with Soren Petro. And we also have tickets to give away. We have Aztecs tickets today. We have Chevelle tickets. So if you're interested in those, just keep listening for your first opportunity to win. But yeah, so the Lions last year, Jared Goff. I mean, huge numbers for Jared Goff. Now, we remember when he was in LA and Sean McVay was hired, and there wasn't a lot of hope that he could turn around what was looking like a pretty poor NFL career. And he looked pretty good in LA. Got them all the way to a Super Bowl, and then they flamed out against the Patriots. Well, he goes to Detroit, being traded away along with a first rounder for the Rams to get Matthew Stafford. Worked out for the Rams. They won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford. But Jared Goff over the past 2 seasons has been nothing less than meteoric in his rise.
It's been incredible. And in fact, it wasn't the beginning of last year. It was the end of last season. That makes the Detroit Lions like the media darlings of this offseason. Through the last 6 weeks of the season, he threw for 340 and 2 touchdowns, 330 and 3 touchdowns, 355 and 3 touchdowns, 255 and 3 touchdowns. In the last game of the year, 224 and no touchdowns. That was the Packers game. All those games, 0 interceptions. He was so efficient and high number totals through the end of last season. That's why everyone is so high on Detroit coming into this year.
But do you trust that to carry over this season?
I do.
All right.
I think the Detroit Lions have gotten better. They draft Jahmyr Gibbs, who's a stud running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown coming off of his best season as a pro. Like, I think the Lions continue to get better. I don't think they win tonight, but I do think that they're a better team than last year.
I agree with that. I think they're a better team than last year. I think the Detroit Lions, I think I bet them on the over for the season, whatever. I think they were at 9.5, and I thought, you know what, they probably get 10 wins. I stand by that. I think they're a good team, but I still don't trust Goff. I mean, even though he's had a great rise, even though he had a great season last year. The end of last season looked fantastic, but for whatever reason, I'm still in you're going to have to prove it, because your initial numbers didn't prove it to me.
Yeah. One of the things that I think makes me high on the offense, at least for the Detroit Lions, the defense not as much, and we could get to that, is Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator who was scripting the plays, the first 10 play scripts that always seemed to work for the Lions. They jumped out to early leads a lot last season. And this offense was fueled by his creativity. You add another shifty back like Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft at 12th overall, he's going to utilize the heck out of him. They got Montgomery out of that backfield as well. That's a new addition.
He's the muscle. Jahmyr is the flair.
Yeah. Well, and also I think you're going to see Gibbs used in a multitude of different ways. I think they're going to split him out. I think he's going to play wide sometimes. He's going to play out of the slot sometimes, different places in the backfield. I bet you they do 2 running back sets where you have Montgomery and Gibbs on the field at the same time. And this is going to confuse defenses from a personnel standpoint. It's like, what personnel do we put in the game? It gets really tricky sometimes when you mess with defensive personnel, and it gives you some angles and opportunities to feast on bad matchups.
Gibbs was quoted yesterday saying he's going to go over 1,000 yards and 500 receiving yards this year, and I wouldn't put it past him. He is shifty. He is fast as hell, man. What did he run, like a 4.3 40? It was crazy.
Fast.
Yeah. Travis, you were right. You did take the over. This game does matter tonight for the chip challenge, by the way, because we have differing opinions on the Lions. I believe I'm the only one that's different here. I took the Lions under. You both took over for 9.5 wins.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is one of those where I'll wave the white flag. I'm not confident that the Lions are going to win this game, but I'm just looking at their division. And I think it's a winnable division for the first time in a long time for the Detroit Lions. And that's very strange to say, because think about the NFC North and what we've known about it for years. I mean, Chicago had their time, but it's been dominated by the Packers forever. The Minnesota Vikings, it feels a little bit like fool's gold, even though I love Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a brilliant coach, and I think he did an amazing job, especially down the stretch in games. That was the clutchest team in football last year. But
11 one-score games they won last year.
They got undressed at home in the postseason. Like what the New York Giants did to the Minnesota Vikings, you can't let that happen in front of your home crowd in the playoffs. And I hope it's not an omen for what's to come, but they also lost a lot in free agency. So it's a winnable division all of a sudden for the
Vikings
Lions.
Don't have a defense.
They do not.
So if the Lions want to run through this whole thing, they can, because the Packers don't have a great defense either. The Bears.
Great pass defense.
Yes.
Packers have a really good secondary. They made some changes there, but their pass rush and their run support sucks. The Green Bay Packers don't have a single plus run defender in their front seven.
And if you're looking at the Lions this year, I think they're going to be a run first team, or at least that's running out of the backfield via the pass is another thing they're going to do. Like that's become famous with the 49ers. Shanahan makes his run game a passing game. It's kind of bizarre what they do, but this is an absolutely winnable division. I'm a little nervous that I have the Lions under. I don't think I like that anymore.
That literally changed from the past 3 minutes.
We'll focus more on the Chiefs in a little bit here, because Soren Petro is going to be joining us, host
Chiefs
of the program.
Don't matter, by the way. We all took the over.
Yeah, we took the over. I mean, the Chiefs, there's not 6 losses on their schedule. We all took the over. And I believe their line is set at 11.5. Yeah. So
at least when we made the pick, it may have changed since.
We're pretty comfortable there. We're pretty comfortable with the over. Soren Petro will join us. He's out in Kansas City. He covers the Chiefs. He'll be with us soon. So we'll get the Chiefs side of things. But let's talk a little NFL rule changes for 2023. All of a sudden, you can have the third QB on your roster, but there is a twist. It's going to be a little bit different. Now, I like the availability of having more players on the roster, more players getting paid on the active roster. I do think that we're going to see this utilized more late in the season. I think that a lot of NFL teams are going to obviously have injury situations, and they're going to stash players in creative ways. And I think that's what they were trying to get away from in the first place, because you can call anybody a quarterback if you want to. But we'll see.
Taysom Hill is the one like exception to the rule for some reason. He's listed as a tight end.
Right.
Which I that just feels shady to me. But so the third QB has to be included on the 53-man roster, which is the only departure from last year. You were allowed to have someone in case of injury, but this year they have to be on the 53-man roster, and they can only play if your first 2 quarterbacks get knocked out of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent with it, to be quite honest, as far as that rule goes. I mean, I do like the fact is with you, Rich. Yeah, put another guy on there on the roster, or one guy that's designated has to be a third quarterback. However, you can have a 54th man if that 54th is your third string quarterback.
What's so insane about the NFL, or I should say, like the ownership side of it, it's like the things that make them more money, they'll always be game for. And I don't think they look at and that's obvious. It's a business. They want to make more money. But something like this, it actually makes you a better team, which can make you more money. So it's a little bit of like, yeah, if you plant the seed now, you do have to wait 10 years for a fully mature pine. But I mean, but do it because it's going to benefit you later on if you're in need of pine. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not going to see instant returns on this, but if you expand the roster to 54 players, I know across the league, if we're talking minimum salary, that'll be something north of $32 million split amongst 32 different franchises over the course of however many years before this actually factors for a team that wins. But the NFL is literally making hundreds of billions of dollars over the course of decades.
So only 12 teams in week 1 are utilizing the 3-man quarterback room. We'll see if that changes. Like you said, it might be later on in the year when you're dealing with more injuries. Fair catches on kickoffs inside the 25, now marked at the 25. This will be the first time we see this.
Yeah, that's a college rule that's coming to the NFL, and I think it's smart.
Do you have nothing wrong with it?
No, because
doesn't ruin the integrity of the game, just protects people's faces.
You're just going to see less returns, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good long return for a touchdown and all those things. It's going to basically limit the number of times we see somebody attempt a return, because unless you're certain you can get out past the 25, then why do it?
Yeah, I think at this point you might as well just take kickoffs out immediately or entirely.
I will say this, if the kicker is still going to be a part of the game, putting that pressure on a kicker to keep the ball in bounds. Like, I mean, how many times have we seen a kicker, flub one, miss kick it, all of a sudden goes out of bounds, opposing offense gets the ball in the 35, takes a shot downfield, and all of a sudden you got a ball game where you didn't before. So I don't mind that pressure being on the kicker to start each half, each game, and obviously after scores.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. I disagree with your take, Ben, entirely. I do not think they should remove this from the game. I'm fine with the fair catch rule of player safety, but I think the kickoff is a cool, integral part of the game. I think that they're having different pieces of the game that create the whole sport of football is better. So I'd keep that in.
It's going to be weird seeing guys fair catch on kickoffs.
That will be strange. I do agree with that.
Yeah, it will be. You'll get used to it, though, because at the college level, like, it's not as weird as you think. Like, it just kind of, I don't know. It took maybe a game for me to be like, oh, yeah, that's weird. They can do that now.
Tonight, you're going to see the opening kickoff. If it doesn't go out the back of the end zone, which I feel like that's what a lot of kickers do now anyways, that's if someone's standing at the 5-yard line to catch a kickoff, you're expecting the return. He just, Well,
and the other thing about returns, and look, I get it. This is the NFL taking away like one of those plays that maybe 1 in every 100 is an exciting return, but most of them are very routine. Like, they're taking away a play that doesn't benefit the excitement of the game all that much. And then they're doing it honoring player safety. They're like, and look how good we are.
Well,
like,
more
we're
times
protecting these guys.
I'd say more times than there's an exciting touchdown, someone gets hurt on the play. So if you're balancing them out, like, I think more often someone is getting injured on a kickoff return than someone takes it back for a touchdown.
Yeah, and I think where it gets taken away here is, I mean, there are a lot of times where they take the ball on the 1 and now they're returning the football where a good block happens. And that's the reason that now there's a great return or return for a touchdown where those blocks won't be there because they'll just fair catch it at the 1.
And also, what we're seeing, I know there were a lot of concussions before they moved up the kickoff and before they made some of these other changes they've made. The 25, taking it after touchback on the 25 obviously was a rule instituted. The fair catch rule is a new wrinkle to that rule. But what's crazy about all of this is the fact that, I mean, back when, we're talking 15 years ago, there were concussions doled out. But I mean, if you think about what the kickoff is now, I mean, all these coverage guys get redirected. I mean, they're not taking a 40-yard sprint into somebody. They're slowing their feet, they're changing directions, they're finding ways around blockers, and then they're making contact. So most of the contact, at most, you're having a 10, 15-yard running head start, which, by the way, a safety has on every run play in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're banning safeties from coming down from their initial alignment and making contact with a running back in a hole.
Right.
So I don't know. Again, this is all very performative. Like, we care about our players and we're trying to protect them. Meanwhile, it is one of the most brutal sports on the planet, and we all love the savagery, and we just hate to see people's necks get injured. That's what it comes down to. And so this is a way to say, well, we tried. We did try.
Very true.
Number
Very
0
true.
is now allowed in the NFL. Some of the early adopters: DeAndre Swift, running back for the Eagles; Byron Young with the Rams; Roquan Smith with the Ravens; Braxton Berrios with the Dolphins; Calvin Ridley, Jacksonville Jaguars, probably the biggest name on the list.
Can you imagine Travis over here with a 0 jersey? How big that?
Sort of.
Like,
Right, 0. Why don't you save the 0 for your third string 54th man quarterback? I mean, like, designate that number for that.
Imagine a person with your body type.
0.
Like a wide oak stump, but playing quarterback with 0 on your jersey.
It would look more like the letter O.
But I wish
I want it spelled out. 0.
But I wish you were a baller.
Yeah.
Like people are like, I mean, Lord knows why this wide-bodied man can make such dazzling plays. But he is as electric throwing the football as he is avoiding the rush.
The only thing weird to me is going to be like, you're going to see wide receivers with 0.
Yeah.
And they should be in the 80s. You know, I know like Deebo Samuel's number 19. Like, that's always been weird to me too. But I just, their position groups, I have no problem with it. It's just different.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. We'll go, where's 0? Where's 0? I think changing up the numbers. Tom Brady talked about, the numbers being changed, and now it's difficult for him out on the field when he was playing because he didn't realize who was eligible, who wasn't, or whatever he was looking at. But I mean, I don't know. Go where 0.
Jersey changes, yeah, they will affect. Okay, so for example, defensively, what you were talking about, that has a great effect on the game from this standpoint. When you are trying to identify personnel, there are certain guys who you're going to count as down defensive linemen, and certain guys you're going to count as linebackers, and certain guys you're looking at as secondary players. And that really has an effect on pass protection, and sometimes run blocking too, depending on the play. And so when you're identifying, say, a Mike linebacker, like you'll hear a lot of times when the volume's up and the commentators quiet down and you can hear the quarterback in his cadence and be like, blue 20, alert, Mike 53, ready, set, hot. Like all of a sudden, everybody knows where to go. And all he gave as an indicator was the Mike linebacker, the middle linebacker in this play is 53. Does it mean that that's actually the middle linebacker of that defense? No. I mean, sometimes they'll say, hey, Mike 27, and it's a safety down low in the box. But all you're doing is you're just telling everybody, like, on this play, we all know from the fundamentals of the play, the center and guard are responsible for the middle linebacker. So if you make sure that everybody knows the new middle linebacker is that safety, well, that sets the rest of the blocks into place, and it's automatic. Like, and those decisions happen in seconds. So Tom Brady, what he was complaining about is when you're doing that advanced algorithm at the line of scrimmage, like, all right, now who the hell is the new Mike linebacker on this play? Like he gets
0.
0, Mike 0. It could get a little confusing. So that's all he was talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to wear 0. I mean, we're 2 years away from them going, we need 3 digits. The players are clamoring for
I want
it.
to be 111.
Exactly.
I want binary code.
I want to wear my area code 619, baby.
Tripping is now a personal foul. The penalty has been moved from a 10-yard penalty to 15. That's the only difference.
Yeah, they're trying to. This happens a lot, actually.
Were you a tripper?
No.
You
Never
don't mess with people below the knee.
Well, no, I can't say I didn't do that.
Yeah.
No, but what, as an offensive lineman, you rarely have a situation where you need to, unless like
a safety free blitzing kind of afterwards. You could stick your foot out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, sometimes like if you miss an initial block, like you might stick out a leg to try to trip up, but like you'll get called every time. Like it's almost not worth it. It's almost better just to yell, like, throw it! Throw the football! He's coming right for you! Like, that's almost a better option.
This sounds like now if there are mistaken, like inadvertent trips, now this is a 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
Is what's happening with this.
Now,
So feet will get tangled up, and now it just becomes 15 yards.
The one with the most impact on the actual game is probably the last one here. Automatic review for failed fourth down. So no longer is it a coach's challenge. If there's a 4th and 1 and the dude looks like he gets about 0.7 yards, it automatically goes to the booth.
Well, so taking more of the control out of the hands of coaches. And also what's interesting about this, taking away gamesmanship that is practiced constantly.
Getting up quick and hiking it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like if you have a close play on a 4th down, you can rush the offense back to line of scrimmage and be like, like as long as the first down called, like, I mean, you get that playoff before a coach has a chance to challenge, like you're going.
Which I missed that. I mean, I don't want that taken away. So that I don't know if I care for this one. The other thing I don't care about on this particular new rule is I don't want it to slow things down. And that momentum that gets slowed is not good.
So what's weird is the idea behind it is it actually would speed the game up. Now, I don't think I agree with it. I'm with you, Trav. I think this does slow it down. But the idea is that a challenge would take more time.
Oh, I think this is such horse manure.
I know.
I think over like
what
when we expand out,
it goes immediately to the sky judge, the ref in the box, and then he has to make the decision right away.
Yeah.
So they're saying it will. The net positive will be that it will actually speed the game up. I disagree.
Why don't you just put an Apple AirTag on each end of the ball, and then
Tennis.
and then
we have the
a laser
technology.
beam that shoots across the field, and if it crosses that beam at any point, it's in the first down, and they know instantaneously.
Yeah, RFID chips. Like, I mean, we do have that technology. I think at some point, maybe, again, the NFL is concentrating on the performative aspect of the game, and they want things to obviously be exciting. And seeing, like, for whatever reason, seeing the officials come out with those chains and like slamming the chain into the ground and be like, 4th down. No, or like,
wasn't that Darnay Tripp's like hot take? I was watching you guys on NBC.
I was so mad at him. He was like, we gotta take out the official. We gotta take out the chains.
The chain gang.
The chain gang. I was like, dude, like, wait, you can take away more jobs?
Yeah.
It's like, you're the problem, Darnay. Oh man, I am so excited. Actually, I'm going to be talking with those guys today. Football Night in San Diego is going to follow Thursday Night Football on NBC tonight. So we're going to be doing that thing.
And you're gonna be hoofing it.
I'm going to be hoofing it, man. I'm going to be doing the damn thing. And I'm going to be wearing my dress shoes, which used to really hurt my back. But since I've been going to the Good Feet store, no longer. I slide those arch supports right into my Allen Edmonds. And it's just like, I mean, my feet are singing to me after a little time on the TV set. It's unbelievable. These arch supports from the Good Feet store have numerous benefits. It's not just pain relief, better balance, better performance. You have injury prevention and recovery if you're an athlete, or if you're just one of those weekend warriors or somebody who hits the gym all the time. Good Feet arch supports can alleviate the pain in the knees, the hip, the back. I'm a living testament to that. And they have 200 plus locations around the U.S. and overseas. So you got to get out to a Good Feet store today. 30 plus years of experience. Check them out at goodfeet.com. That's goodfeet.com. Set up your appointment today. And we're going to be joined by Soren Petro out in Kansas City. We're going to talk Chiefs Lions coming up next.
We got boots on the ground out in Kansas City. We're going to talk Chiefs with Soren Petro next.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. The wait is over. NFL is back. Chiefs Lions tonight on NBC at 5:30. Patrick Mahomes looks to continue his perfect record in Week 1 games, but he might have to do so without Travis Kelce. No update yet, but he is having a workout this morning to see if he can go tonight. Elsewhere in the NFL, 49ers give Nick Bosa a record-breaking extension, 5 years, 170, $122.5 million guaranteed. That makes Nick Bosa the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Padres fall yesterday 5-1 to the Phillies at Petco Park. 7 games out of the wild card, 21 left to go. Staples has big savings on everything for school or the office. Save on school essentials like notebooks, pens, and crayons in stock and backed by Staples Price Match Guarantee. In-store only. Visit staples.com/price match for details. School on, save on at Staples.
All right, Heart Radio Music Festival is back. I was looking for that copy. September 22nd and 23rd at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage with live performances by The Foo, Fall Out Boy, Kelly Clarkson, and a whole lot more. And while the world is listening on iHeartRadio, you could be there with 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for 2 plus $1,000 spending cash. Just keep listening for your chance to text in and win. Your next chance coming up at 9 o'clock today on San Diego Sports 760. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. We are rolling through a Mustache You a Question Thursday, so we do have tickets to give away. Chevelle tickets. We've got Aztec tickets. We are loaded up and having fun.
Yeah, we're going to give away at least 1 pair of those tickets before the end of the 7 o'clock hour, so be listening for that opportunity. Also, before we jam out and get to the 8 o'clock hour, we got to answer this question. Which quarterback is under the most pressure this season as we begin the season today, Thursday Night Football, Chiefs, Lions? Which quarterback is under the most pressure to win the Super Bowl? Okay, so speaking of Chiefs, Lions, Soren Petro, who's going to join us right now, host of the program on Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City, out there covering the Chiefs. We got a couple of really interesting wrinkles here, Soren. You have Chris Jones, who's seeking a new deal. He's a huge question mark for this game. You got Travis Kelce, who hyperextended his knee, is reportedly dealing with a bone bruise ahead of this game, questionable with the injury. Update on either of those to start this conversation.
Chris Jones finally talked to the media. He came back into town yesterday. They have their big, normally it's on a Friday, their big Red Friday celebration where they members of the Chiefs go out and sell Chiefs flags for a minimum donation of $5 to benefit the Ronald McDonald House, and they do it every year. And Chris Jones came back to take part in that, and then afterwards, quietly, they subtly sent out a release to everybody in the media, hinting at the fact that he would be there. So everyone was there, had an impromptu 5 or 6 minute press conference, and was asked about what is he, does he worry about the fans being upset? And he said, "Why? I'm just asking for a raise like anybody else would." So there's a little bit of a disconnect there between the fans and Chris Jones now. I think there's some frustration with the fan base, and certainly the team's frustrated because he's under contract. He's owed $19.5 million. He'll count $30 million against the cap this year. They've offered, by most accounts, $75 million over 3 years, which would be $55 million in new money, $27.5 million per year on a 2-year extension, fully guaranteed, which would make him the second highest paid defensive tackle in football. And right now, that's not good enough. So they're going to learn to play without Chris Jones. They're going to learn to play without Charles Omenihu, who they signed to help that interior pass rush from the 49ers. He was suspended for 6 games. So this isn't the D-line that they wanted to start the season with. And as you mentioned, now they're going to find out what it's like to play without Travis Kelce, potentially, if he can't go as well.
Soren, we actually just got breaking news on that. Chiefs owner Clark Hunt was just on NFL Network. He said this: "We hope he'll be able to go tonight. It'll be a game time decision, but he's somebody who loves to compete, so I wouldn't bet against him being on the field tonight." Your reaction to the Chiefs owner saying that?
He has missed 1 game since he had microfracture surgery his rookie year and basically missed the entire season. And 1 game that they didn't sit him down at the end of the year because their position was locked in, and that was for COVID. Otherwise, he's played in every game. He's played with injuries. I think he's a guy that will certainly try to go. I think the question is, at his age, 33, 34 years old, with 17 games to play, with a lot at stake down the road, do you want to risk it? Or is it something that would be better when you've got 10 days extra rest afterwards to just say, hey, let's make sure he's 100% because we're going to need him for the long haul? I don't know. I know he will want to play. One of the things you don't want to do, and they dealt with this a lot with Sammy Watkins, you don't want to activate him and then 10 snaps into the game have him come out and say, I can't go, and you wasted a roster spot. So, if he's going to go, he needs to be able to play and play for the whole game, and that's a decision that I literally don't think has been made right now. I think it'll go right up until game time before they make that decision.
Soren, without Kelce, do the Lions win this game?
Listen, I think they can. Now, this is a team that started 0-10-1 2 years ago and 1-6 last year. I would question whether or not Dan Campbell's figured out the riddle of the offseason and training camp as a whole, because the first 2 years, his body of work doesn't say that he has. Andy Reid, meanwhile, has only lost 1 opening game since he came to Kansas City in 2013. So I think that bodes well for the Chiefs. I think Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and that history are why the Chiefs are still favored in this game, because the Lions are a talented team. I think it'll go up and down the field. I think there's no doubt the Chiefs are not only missing Chris Jones and Omenihu, but Frank Clark left. I don't know that Felix Anudike-Uzomah, who they drafted in the first round as an edge guy, he missed all of the off season with a I can't remember if it was a wrist or a thumb or what it was, but anyway, he was out. All those hasn't looked overly impressive, so I don't know that they've got the replacement there. Then throw in the fact that L'Jarius Sneed, their best corner, really didn't participate in training camp at all. It's just this week he went back to practice. He's not listed on the injury report, so that's a good thing. But it looks like it's a team that, and maybe this is a reason to go under. All indications say that this should be both teams going up and down the field, and there should be a lot of points tonight for sure.
Soren Petro joining us, host of the program Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. We're going to answer this question ourselves in just a little bit here, Soren, but we'd love to hear your thoughts on Mahomes. Is he under a tremendous amount of pressure to win a Super Bowl for the Chiefs? Where would you rate him on the scale?
Of pressure to win a Super Bowl for the Chiefs?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I assume there's been a long discussion, and I'm walking into an argument that's probably been established already.
It's about to be.
No. He's won 2, played in 3, and he's only been a starter for 5 years in the league. So let me see, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 5 years in the league, and he's played in 3 Super Bowls and won 2 of them, hosted 5 conference championship games. I would say that I would think that he would be under the least amount of pressure in football. Now, from the standpoint that he's got more on his shoulders now than ever before, yes. It's one thing to play without Tyreek Hill, which they did. They overcame it. Maybe play without Travis Kelce in this game. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster and McCole Hardman from that receiving core from last year. All that kind of compounds. It's not just 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4. I think there is that starts to compound. I'll say this. He's got a better offensive line than he had last year. They definitively upgraded both tackles. Wait till Joe Burrow sees what life is like with Orlando Brown at left tackle. Good luck with that. And Andrew Wiley was a serviceable guy that the Commanders overpaid to be their right tackle. And I think they've definitively, and I think the preseason has shown that he'll have better protection. But from a standpoint that more and more is being put on his shoulders, there's fewer and fewer guys that have been around. I guess you could say that, but overall, I would think he has the least amount of pressure of anybody in football. Then Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and guys like that have a lot more pressure, I would think, than Patrick Mahomes.
Soren, we love seeing Andy Reid when he has a lot of time to prep for a team. And Rich brought this up earlier. We're going to see some wacky stuff tonight from Andy Reid, just so it's on film for the rest of the league. Are you expecting any ring around the rosies or triple reverses or maybe a Statue of Liberty at some point tonight?
Yes. Andy Reid, listen, I think his off-season calendar is the best in football. I think that's the most underrated part of what he is as a coach. There are things that are already game planned and ready to go for week 14, week 15. I think he does a great job of reestablishing his offense, finding new wrinkles, and having something for the teams as they go. Bill Belichick, and maybe it's because he's a defensive mind and Andy Reid's an offensive mind and defense is maybe more counterpunching, but Belichick routinely would come out of the gates 1-1, 2-2. Andy Reid, for the most part, comes out, like a rocket. And I think that's because he beats everybody in the offseason. And one of the ways he beats people is, one, a tremendous tempo in everything that they do. They get more work done than anybody else. But he also, while doing that, keeps it fun and gets input. I think there's this story out there that there was a janitor that gave him a play that they've used. He is always looking for football plays and any input from his players. And I think they love that. And I think they love those trick plays. If you watch the Netflix show Quarterback, and Patrick Mahomes kind of talked about some of them that worked and some of them that didn't. But yes, I think that there will be some, especially with a national TV audience and raising a banner. I think he's, starting to take pride in the fact that everybody expects once postseason rolls around or maybe a big game that there'll be some kind of showpiece play. And I would be disappointed if we didn't see at least one tonight.
Soren, you ever head out to Joe's Kansas City barbecue?
Listen, the latest and greatest location is about 2 miles from my house. Of course, everyone needs to visit 47th and Mission. That's the original. In the gas station, it's the greatest barbecue. Also voted the #1 fries in Kansas City. The sides are tremendous. If you come to Kansas City and you don't go to Joe's, have you really come to Kansas City? It's the best barbecue in the world. And by the way, I'll say this. It's like the biggest hotels in the world, 16 or 17 are in Las Vegas. It's kind of like that with barbecue, 16 of the 17 best barbecues in the world are here. There are a lot of places that are great, but standing above all of them is Joe's Kansas City barbecue. Best in the world. Get the Rocket Pig sandwich. That's my absolute favorite.
Okay.
Rocket Pig.
That was my next question of what should we order?
I was going to say Rocket Pig was my high school nickname, Soren.
Listen, if you want the order is the Rocket Pig sandwich, a short end of ribs, fries, and rings.
Oh, as you were saying it, you could hear him running out of breath, and a short order.
Yeah. Soren, are you sponsored by them? Was that an ad read?
Joe's Kansas City may have been my first sponsor and with me for since 2004. So yes, I'm quite familiar with it. Closed on Sundays. Nobody does more cleaning. They are absolutely the best. They're unbelievable. You can send it anywhere in the country, guys. Joe'sKC.com. You can have it right there at your doorstep. Go ahead and order it up right now.
Yeah.
Joe'sKC.com. Yes, they're a sponsor.
Well, I looked this up last night and I thought, oh my gosh, I can order it in. I could not get it here for today. We're going to be speaking with Eric Tada from Joe's KC Barbecue. Yeah. So
give Tada grief. And here's what you got to do. You got to pimp Tada about Chris Jones because he's buds with Chris Jones. So if anybody knows what's going on, Tada knows. And ask him if he knows Chris Jones. I'm going to tell you guys right now, if he knows Chris Jones. Chris Jones is a huge Joe's guy, too. He goes there it's his cheat food during the season, and there'll be social media pictures of him sitting down with fans and eating. Chris Jones is a great guy. I mean, it's a multimillionaire fighting with a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and the fans are caught in between. But he is a great guy. But he's the one who taught me the trick. He said you get all the Joe's fries you want, and then you rewarm them in the air fryer. That's the best way to redo the Joe's fries. So see if Tada knows that, and see if he knows the Chris Jones, because Tada's the guy that hooks Chris Jones up with all of his big orders and everything. So see if he knows the Chris Jones secret to rewarming the fries.
What are the Joe's fries? Are they like a shoestring fry? Are they a potato wedge? What kind of fry are we talking?
Yeah, they're long, right? But they're thick. They're not like steak fries. But then it's the seasoning that they have. It's this salty, sweet seasoning that's on them. In fact, they did some potato chips with the seasoning, and they were pretty good. They're pretty salty because it's kind of like salty on top of salty. But the fries, every year they're voted the best fries in Kansas City. They're absolutely fantastic, and they are not shy about what they give you. It honestly is. It is they should do a mini series on them, because they are how a business should be run. They're all owned in-house. They don't franchise out and half-ass the quality. I mean, they are totally serious about everything that they do. And they have a barbecue store as well, the Kansas City barbecue store, that they sell equipment, and they have sauces and rubs from all over the country. It's it really is one of the great business stories here in KC.
If Soren put everything you just said in a Valentine's Day card, I would fall in love.
It would be the nicest gift I ever received, actually. I've been to the Mecca. I went to the Joe's on 47th, one of the trips that I took out there playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was as good as advertised and then some. You got to fight some lines, man. I mean, people are lining up for that BBQ, but it is good. It is damn good.
It is. I mean, before they opened that store, they were like the greatest championship barbecue competition team ever. And then they decided to open the restaurant, and they did it just with like a little counter in the gas station. That gas station now, they still have like 2 active pumps. You can still get gas there because they don't want to lose that mystique. But it's great. Bob Glauber, who wrote for years for the New York Newsday, has a great story where he was almost arrested because next door they have a liquor store.
Yeah.
And he got a beer and was standing in line to go into Joe's, and they came in and were going to arrest him for having an open container. He's like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "I'm right here." And it's, everybody has a story. All the bands that come to town and play go down to Joe's. Like, it is the pilgrimage you must take if you come to Kansas City.
Yeah, I grew up on Long Island. I know Bob, and they should have arrested him. They should have just locked him up right there. Hey, Soren, this was fun. We'll do it again at some point during the season. We appreciate it, brother.
Absolutely. Love the town. Love talking to you guys. Thanks for having me.
There it goes. Soren Petro, host of the program, Sports Radio 810 Kansas City. He's got me so excited to talk to Eric Tada with Joe's.
I feel like we should have barbecued something.
I mean, there's still time.
Have a camp stove.
We have a camp stove.
What a coincidence.
What? Yeah.
That's like his longest and oldest sponsor.
That's how we tie it all together.
We knew that.
We never forget it. We're professionals.
We totally planned it. It worked out perfectly, as it always does. Okay, so I agree with Soren. I'm curious if both of you guys do that. Patrick Mahomes should be like at the bottom of the list of people who are under pressure to win a Super Bowl. However, get your thoughts on the other side. Also, if not him, then who? Who is under the most pressure to win it all this season in the NFL? We'll give you our answers coming up next. There are certain things at the start of every NFL season that they don't seem like real goals, or at very least they seem very distant, but all of a sudden with the focus being on the NFL, it becomes very real. Like, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year is a question that should be asked today, as the Kansas City Chiefs are going to kick off in mere hours against the Lions. And with that, the question is, who needs it the most? Like, I think it's a fine question to ask who's going to be there. Everybody's got an opinion about that, but there are certain jobs that are on the line. Quarterbacks and coaches ultimately get blamed for wins and losses, whether it's fair or not. For a quarterback, that argument can be had at a different time. But for head coaches, certainly it's impactful. So of the 32 teams in the NFL, who would you rate like the most pressure situation to get a W in a Super Bowl?
So I think there's a couple different ways to answer this. I think firstly, the answer to who as a quarterback has the most pressure to win a Super Bowl is pretty obvious, and I'll get to that. But who has the most pressure in general? I think there's a huge amount of pressure on Kirk Cousins this year to perform. I think there's a huge amount of pressure on Trevor Lawrence to perform this year. I think there's a massive amount of pressure on Josh Allen to perform this year.
Yeah.
To win a Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers is the number one person. In order to win a Super Bowl, Aaron Rodgers has the most pressure on him.
This year, though?
And it's self-imposed, I think. He knows he needs to get a second one.
I agree. I agree with so little of what you said.
The first three guys, that was pressure on them to perform well this season, not necessarily to win a Super Bowl, but to win a Super Bowl, it's Aaron Rodgers.
Well, yeah. I mean, plainly, the question is like pressure to win a Super Bowl. Pressure to win a Super Bowl. I mean, Kirk Cousins, I don't even put him in that category.
I wasn't even in the thought process for me.
Josh Allen, I don't necessarily have in that situation.
I put him in there.
I think Josh Allen has an enormous amount of pressure to perform. I don't think the pressure is there yet for him to necessarily win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think the Super Bowl's there. I think that there has been so much put on him over the past few seasons that he has not performed, that now all the eyeballs are going, well, wait a minute, maybe the problem is there. I do think there's a ton of eyeballs on Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if the pressure's there to win a Super Bowl in New York, maybe on himself. But as far as looking at a hot seat, I don't think Josh Allen's on a hot seat, but I think there is pressure there. I think if you're looking at a hot seat situation, Dak Prescott might be one that might be starting to warm up a little bit, because things are starting to get a little iffy out there.
The only team I agree with that you mentioned, Ben, was the Bills, because Allen, it's bridesmaid, but not the bride. You know, he's gotten to the postseason many times. Fan bases get frustrated. Ownership gets frustrated. Yeah, you got us a new stadium, push through. The taxpayer is going to build us a new stadium. But, you know, what have you done for me lately? Last season was a little bit of regression. The Bills and Sean McDermott have not ultimately done what Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have done. And that's the ultimate prize. Like all these owners, I mean, yeah, they want to make a ton of money, but also they want to lord over each other with their Super Bowl wins. So I'm not saying they're in as much trouble as, for example, who you just mentioned.
Dak could lose his job this year.
Mike McCarthy very easily could be fired.
And he's calling the
mid-season.
plays.
Yeah, like he's taking all the responsibility and putting it on
don't
himself.
think Josh Allen has any danger of losing his job in the next 5 years.
Well, neither does Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think Robert Saleh does either.
I think if the Jets completely underperform and they miss the playoffs, Robert Saleh could be in trouble.
Okay, well, hang on a second. We're talking about two different things. You're changing the argument to fit your narrative. The question is, who's under the most pressure to win a Super Bowl? So I agree with what you just said. There is volatility when you underperform wildly, but I'm talking about winning a Super Bowl.
If it's purely Super Bowl, there's two names on the list for me, and it's Josh Allen and Joe Burrow.
Okay, here's Joe Burrow.
Aaron Rodgers.
See, I don't feel the pressure's on Burrow at all.
Why would it not be? They got to a Super Bowl, didn't win it.
I don't know. I don't know why it's not. Because he got there. He got there, and the confidence level is there.
I just don't think he's in any danger of losing his job, and I don't think Zach Taylor is either.
Then neither is Josh Allen or Sean McDermott.
Again, I think of the teams you mentioned, Josh Allen made the most sense. Mine is the 49ers. Mm-hmm. I think that this whole idea with starting Brock Purdy, this whole idea with missing on Trey Lance and trading him away for a 4th rounder, like if I'm Jed York and I'm opening up the pocketbook, and they've done a great job and making all these decisions with this roster, if this roster doesn't produce a Super Bowl, it's possible that you could see the hot seat talks for John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan start. Now, they have longer term contracts. It would be a lot to eat. But man, oh man, their window is getting closer and closer to being closed.
It's like open for 2 more years.
It's
with this current setup.
Yeah,
but all of it rides on a last overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, and that 2 years could become 1 year if this year does not go well.
Top of my list, Dak and Mike McCarthy, but a close second is San Francisco with Brock Purdy.
So they did clear up $23 million in cap space yesterday.
With the
Bosa contract, they were able to restructure Kittle, Trent Williams, and Bosa, obviously. So they actually have room right now to go spend on a free agent if they want
but those chickens come home to roost. Just look at the Rams. Same division also. Oh, man, I am fired up. We all are. This is going to be the best football season of our lives. I'm pretty certain. And it gets even better on the other side because we have tickets to give away to Chevelle and the Aztecs. We must ask you a question. And also, Eric Tata, Joe's Kansas City BBQ. He's going to join us on the other side. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. It's hour 3 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, and the wait is over. The NFL returns tonight, 5:30 on NBC. Patrick Mahomes looks to continue his perfect record in Week 1 games, but he'll have to do so potentially without his favorite target, Travis Kelce. He is questionable for the game. We will see. It's going to be a game-time decision. Elsewhere in the NFL, 49ers gave Nick Bosa a record-breaking 5-year, $170 million extension. 122.5 of that's guaranteed, making Nick Bosa the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Padres fall yesterday 5-1 to the Phillies at Petco Park. 6 home games left of the season for the Pods. 21 total games left in the year. They are 7 games out of the wild card. Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or the office. Save on school essentials like notebooks, pens, and crayons in stock and backed by Staples Price Match Guarantee. In-store only. Visit staples.com/price match for details. School on, save on at Staples.
Yeah! Woo! Happy Thursday. A very NFL Thursday here on Big Rich and TD and Fletch. We are absolutely positively thrilled, as I'm sure many of you are, given the way the Padres season has gone. A nice little palate cleanser for the Padres, San Diego Padres. Have you heard them?
Scorpio's team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. By the way, Gary Sanchez, our hearts break for you.
Rough.
He broke his wrist. He fractured his wrist, was hit by a pitch last night or yesterday in the loss to the Phillies. Padres lose that series. Now they head on the road to Houston after a day's rest. They'll start that series on Friday. And it just feels so inconsequential because this team, for the entirety of the 2023 season, has led us to believe that they were going to get on that run we've all, thought was just around the corner.
I just did it. I just did what I said I wasn't going to do, where I thought, okay, that's it. If the Padres turn it around here in the end and surprise me, fantastic. I will not jump on this roller coaster again. And then they beat the Phillies, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. 4 out of the last 5?
What if?
Yeah, what if? What if they? No, they didn't.
They didn't.
No.
They didn't. So we turn our attention to the NFL. Joey Bosa's brother, Nick Bosa, up in the Bay Area, just signed a landmark deal in the NFL. Nick Bosa awarded $170 million over the next 4 years. Woo! It is the largest contract for a defensive player in the history of the NFL. He's got 5-year deal, $122.5 million due at signing. Thoughts on the price of doing business? I mean, there are some people who are like nauseated by these contract talks and the fact that teams are willing to pay this kind of money. It seems like it's more so for whatever reason in the NFL than it is in Major League Baseball. Maybe it's because there's more people who care a lot more about the sport. I don't know.
Seen baseball and basketball contracts?
Yeah,
they're so much higher.
Oh, yeah.
If anything, Nick Bosa might be underpaid. The way he impacts a game, it's like he's one of 3. It's Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Aaron Donald 2 years ago. Unfortunately,
Myles
the Rams kind of suck. Myles Garrett's in that category too.
Yeah.
But like the guys who get the quarterback are the guys who should be making money.
Yeah. It's the way this game goes. It's a quarterback league now. So the 2 most impactful positions on the field are the position that, the quarterback position obviously goes without saying, but the position that affects the quarterback the most. And if you have a good edge rusher, or if you got an edge rusher who's going to take up a bunch of blockers and that frees up opportunities for other rushers, you've got yourself a situation where you can affect the passer on potentially every passing down. And that's exactly what the 49ers hope they have for the next 5 years. He's 25. He's young. He's a pup in terms of his potential for having a great career left in him.
Defensive player of the year last year in the NFC.
Yep.
What was 16.5 sacks, something like that?
Yeah, he's fantastic.
I don't know.
He's absolutely fantastic. Would I say he's underpaid? I don't know about that. But I think he's getting what he deserves. Absolutely. And look, by saying, oh, now he's the highest paid non-quarterback position ever in the NFL. Look, everything's costing more money. Everything's expensive. I pay more for a gallon of gas than I've ever paid in my life. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way the world works. We're always going to see the next highest paid player ever in the history of time. But I never get mad at how much the contract is for.
No.
That doesn't, whatever, man. The NFL is a private company.
The thing that makes me squeamish is the guaranteed money, the 122, and just thinking about what the 49ers could do with that money elsewhere. Say if Nick Bosa gets hurt, which God forbid, but if he were to get hurt and they're on the hook for that, that's going to be a problem.
Well, I mean, the two things that you have to come to realize when you're making decisions like that, if you don't pay, somebody else will.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you don't pay, chances are he's going to hold down and make this a rough year for you. And that's the cost of doing business at this level. Look, the 49ers aren't hurting for cash. The San Francisco 49ers play in a top 5 market in the country. They're making money hand over fist because they've been so successful over the years. And you could argue a big reason for that success is how talented Nick Bosa is. So he gets a cut of the pie. I'm sorry. That's the way business works. You pay your best lawyers in your firm. You pay your best accountants in the firm. You pay your best football players when they are a reason for you making as much money as you're making.
And I undersold it. 18.5 sacks last year, 41 solo tackles. Like the dude put up numbers all over the place. That's why he was Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
It's cool, man. And look, the Niners are a better team for him. So obviously they want to pay the guy to have him on board. It good on you, Bosa.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
A lot of breaking news around the NFL, the league this morning. Obviously, Chris Jones is fighting for a raise, as he put it.
Mhm.
A lot of people are annoyed by that. But again, same way we're talking about Bosa, Chris Jones deserves a cut of the pie. And then also the Travis Kelce situation, what we're currently monitoring is whether or not he's going to be available to play tonight. He's questionable with a hyperextended knee, a bone bruise that he suffered early this week in practice. Clark Hunt, CEO and chairman of the Kansas City Chiefs, joined Good Morning Football this morning on the NFL Network. Here's what he had to say about Kelce.
He's
Wouldn't
playing.
bet against him being on the field playing tonight. Now, Clark Hunt and Ben actually asked me this question at break. He was like, I mean, how much do owners really have to do on the day-to-day? Here's the deal. You don't see a lot of NFL owners. You'll see them on game days. Obviously, they're, for the most part, at every game. You'll talk to them in the hallway. Sometimes you bump into them, but a lot of times they're in executive suites or they're in business dealings. A lot of these owners also on other outfits, whether it be sports teams elsewhere or other businesses. So their attentions are pulled away from the daily operations of a football team. But when it comes to a star, like a Hall of Fame player injured for your opener, and the world is going to be watching you on the NFL opener, yeah, you'll have a little insight. So he was prepped on exactly where Kelce is at leading up to this game. There's no question about
the verbiage he used, the little minor knee thing. Like that's what he's saying. Now, when Andy Reid spoke, it was a big knee thing, right? It was a hyperextended knee. Because I think Andy Reid's maybe trying to put some shade over the covers. He's trying to maybe upplay it a little bit. Clark Hunt, he's playing.
Yeah, I would think he's playing. It sounds like it at least. And that provides an interesting wrinkle for Detroit again of, oh, wait, now we're back to this. So now we got a plan for it. How much is he involved in the game? Maybe not that much, but he's out there. Now he's a threat.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Hey, by the way, it's that time. We got to do it. We got to play Mustachio a question.
We got to. That's fine.
Yeah.
We need callers.
We need callers. 844-570-1360. We have Aztecs tickets on the line. Woo! They're going to be playing UCLA this weekend. Little team called the Bruins, who are 1-0 right now, going to face our undefeated Aztecs. Snapdragon Stadium kickoff 4:30. Our coverage here on San Diego Sports 760 starts at 2:30 with pregame. We'll lead you right into kickoff there. So, yeah, need a caller on the line for those Aztecs tickets just to put a bow on it. I mean, he's most likely playing in my mind.
Right.
If this is something he can at very least be active, right, on the field. They don't have to play him every single snap that they were intending to earlier this week, but he can be out there for a handful of plays each quarter, constantly checking in with him. How's the knee? How's the knee? How's the knee? Because you need him obviously for the 17-game run, but you don't want to have him off the field because of the way he draws the defense.
Yeah.
Even with a bad knee, I'm probably still double covering Travis Kelce.
Without a doubt.
So that's a big part of what's going to happen tonight.
Hairy upper lip or nah? It's up to you to determine. If you want the prize, you have to play the game. It's time. We mustache you a question.
Is this our longest running game?
This is it.
This is it. This is it. I was thinking of the copy that was written for that opener. Ben had to send over hairy upper lip or nah.
Like somebody had to read that into a microphone, like miles and miles and miles away from us, who's just like, what the F are they doing in San Diego?
Oh, you haven't heard of those guys? Big Rich, TD, and Fletch? They're huge in Chicago.
Game show that's sweeping the world. We are huge in certain areas of Scandinavia. I understand.
I heard that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's very good. Yeah, we're big in Northern Europe.
Makes me happy.
Actually, Sweden is the true one from Europe.
Very good. Very good. Scott, who joins us, he may be a sweet, Scott the Sweet, joining us on the phone line right now. You're our listener contestant. Scott, good morning to you. Are you ready to play?
I sure am.
Are you Swedish, Scott?
No, I'm not.
Do you like the fish?
Swedish fish? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
You're going to fit right in here, Scott.
Swedish fish are just like naked Sour Patch Kids.
I love them so much. They're waxy.
Oh.
They're not overly sweet.
I'm fine with them.
Decent chew.
They don't stick together in the package.
They don't stick in your teeth all that much.
Gosh,
It's good
pretty
stuff.
good. They're pretty good. Scott, by the way, magnificent voice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, you're
Hey,
welcome.
man, you are playing for a pair of tickets to see the Aztecs take on UCLA this Saturday at 4:30 at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets and info are at goaztecs.com. But if you can determine whether or not these voices have a mustache attached to them, you're going on us.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me say something first, man. This game is really special to me. I'm an Aztec for life, but I got to throw this out there because I don't get that opportunity. My dad started back in the day for UCLA football both ways as center and nose guard. You can believe that.
How about that?
Is
Oh
your
my
dad,
gosh.
Is your dad, Scott, still with us? Are you going to take him to the game?
No, he's not, unfortunately. It was back in the 1945, I think.
Oh, we got you. All right. Well, he's watching over you for sure. He'll be there in spirit. Okay,
Yeah.
listen.
Scott, I'm not going to lie. When you said this game's really important to me, I honestly thought you were talking about mustache you
So
a
did I.
question.
Right. Yeah.
Well, now that one, that's most immediate.
To be
Also-
perfectly honest with you, we're a little offended. So we're going to move on to Nick, who's waiting on the line. No, I'm kidding.
Scott, please don't lose because I would feel really bad hanging up on you.
Yeah. That's right. You got to get this. You got to get 3 out of 5 right here, Scott. So clip number 1 coming at you right now.
All my rowdy friends are coming over tonight. Well, fellas, have you met my friend Jack? No. I mean this man, the bottle. Are you ready for some football? Yeah. Patriots and the Vikings coming over tonight. Eagles and the Bears coming over tonight. Bengals and the Ravens coming over tonight.
I love the laugh with the maniacal. They're coming over tonight. All right, Scott. Very simple question here. We must ask you, does that voice have a mustache?
I think it does.
It does.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Wow, you nailed
Chris
it.
Farley is Hank Williams Jr.
Oh, God, Scott, you're up 1-0. It is a very football Thursday here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. All right, so we'll move on to clip number 2, Scott.
What's better than a nap? A nap with a cigarette. I know. I do it. If you're going to sleep in bed, make it a hammock. So if it lights on fire, you fall down and wake up. Fire safety begins in your brain at home.
Right.
Well,
Those are all great pieces of advice. And it was an important public service announcement here. Scott, though, does the voice you just heard have a mustache?
Yes, it does.
Wow. Yeah. Cal Naughton Jr.
Yeah.
And if you don't chew Big Red,
F you.
Yeah, so that was correct. You're 2-0. You get one more out of the next three here, Scott. You're going to see the Aztecs take on UCLA.
Awesome.
All right. Clip number 3.
I will smash your face into a car windshield and then take your mother, Dorothy Mantooth, out for a nice seafood dinner and never call her again.
Do not talk about Dorothy Mantooth. Dorothy Mantooth is a saint.
I'm not sure what's worse, having somebody smash your head into a windshield or take your mother out without ever calling her back. But either way, Scott, you got to determine whether or not the voice who was speaking in that clip is attached to a mustache. It's a simple question. It's a simple answer. Will you know it?
It sounds like it does have a mustache.
Ooh, okay. Very, very
First
unfortunate.
incorrect answer. He is Champ Kine.
That is Champ Kine from Anchorman. He wears a bolo tie and a cowboy hat, clean shaven raven. Okay, Scott, you're at 2-1.
Just got interesting.
This really did. All of a sudden, the heat's starting to pick up in the kitchen. We need one correct answer out of the next two clips. Otherwise, we are viciously hanging up on you and unfortunately going to feel bad about that. Okay, so we need you to get this one right. Clip number 4, Ben.
People are talking about people. I just ignore them, but they keep us saying we laugh just a little too loud. We stand just a little too close. We stare just a little too long. Maybe they're seeing something we don't, darling. Let's give them something to talk about. Let's give them something to talk about. How about love? Love, love, love,
Scott. I mean, we're all shaven here except for Ben. We got a little 5 o'clock shadow on Travis and I. Ben's sporting a beard. But the voice that was most important was the one you heard initially in the clip. We must ask you a question. Does that voice have a mustache?
Yes.
Ooh, wow, no.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. That's Brennan Huff from Step Brothers.
Everybody
no
breathe.
Mustache.
Everybody breathe. Okay. Okay.
Scott.
It feels like an emergency, Scott. It's not because but we're dear friends either way. We bonded over Swedish fish.
Scott, come on, Scott.
Your dad was a two-way player for the Bruins, even though we hope that UCLA gets just driven into the dirt. Just right down into
I don't
the
think
dirt.
I can do. I can't hang up on him.
I know, but you
Gosh,
might have
Scott.
to just leave him on hold in perpetuity. Like we refuse to hang up on Scott. All right, Scott, here is your last
He's
clip.
going to win this. What are you talking about?
Okay. You're going to win, Scott. It's a winner's mentality on a very football Thursday. Here you go. Clip number 5.
Listen, I was trying to buy this handcrafted mahogany wood model of a B-25 Mitchell Panchito aircraft, and I went to this website, and this ad popped up that said, check out this great offer. My question is, what the hell?
Okay. We may have played that clip last week. I don't remember. However, Scott, we mustache you this question. Does that voice have a mustache?
I got to stick with yes.
I think we have a winner. You won yourself a pair of tickets to go see the Aztecs take on UCLA this Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Snapdragon Stadium. Everybody else can go to goaztecs.com. But you, Scott, you won them right here on Mustache You a Question. How you feeling, buddy?
Wow.
Fantastic.
Gee, so do
I
we.
was so scared.
I
was so scared.
so bad.
Yeah.
Hanging up right in his face.
Scott,
That would have been awful.
Scott, hang on hold for us here. Ben will get your information and we'll get you those tickets. I was very nervous.
we got to scram,
Yeah.
okay? Because we have a very important guest. Scott was amazing. But Eric Tata is joining us next. He does marketing for Joe's Kansas City BBQ, and he has some insight on the Chris Jones contract situation. We'll get to all that coming up next. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
A mustache. Now we both have said mustache. A mustache, a mustache. If you've only got a mustache.
We have to get to something very important. Kansas City barbecue. And we're going to talk to the best in the world, Eric Tata from Joe's Kansas City Barbecue, coming up next. Maybe in just a minute, because our computer may have taken
Next gen's
a
down.
break.
This update is presented by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus. The wait is over because the NFL is back. Chiefs Lions tonight at 5:30 on NBC. Patrick Mahomes looks to continue his perfect record in Week 1 games, but he might have to do so without Travis Kelce. He is questionable for the game. It will be a game time decision. Elsewhere in the NFL, 49ers gave Nick Bosa a record-breaking 5-year, $170 million extension. 122 of that is guaranteed. This makes Nick Bosa the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Padres, they fall yesterday 5-1 to the Phillies at Petco Park. Just 6 home games left for the Padres on the season. 21 total games left in the year. Padres 7 games out of the wild card. This update was presented by the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Man, cannot wait for tonight as we kick off the NFL season here with the Detroit Lions at the Kansas City Chiefs. We also have a pair of tickets to give away still to go see Chevelle at the Calcoast Credit Union Amphitheater on October 2nd. You can buy tickets now at Ticketmaster.com or just keep listening for your chance to win because we forgot to do it in the 7 o'clock hour. Sorry, everyone. That was totally on purpose.
Yeah, that's right.
Something in the industry called TSL.
Yeah,
we're trying to bring up.
Trying to keep you guys waiting around for those Chevelle tickets.
I'm listening.
we
love it.
We need you to hang in there for Chevelle. No, listen, we are very excited to give away those tickets. Somebody's going to win them. It's just a matter of who at this point and when we remember to give them away.
Exactly correct. Exactly. The good news is for Chevelle and Ticketmaster is we get some more reads in there.
Yeah.
So you know, you're welcome.
Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Including us, who get to spend a little time talking about something that's extremely close to our hearts. Our fat-coated, deliciously plump hearts. We spend a lot of time talking about food, greasy food, delicious food, fast food, barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We like to grill. We like to eat barbecue food.
Come on.
And nobody knows barbecue better than Eric Tata. Okay. He works out with Joe's Kansas City BBQ. We were just talking to Soren Petro, actually, Eric. We were talking to him about Joe's, and he had some incredible things to say about the restaurant. He had some nice things to say about you too. My question for you is, when you're making barbecue that people will literally line up around the block to eat, and you work at an establishment like this, how do you stop yourself from eating it all day long? Because I would weigh 1,000 pounds if I worked at Joe's.
Well, I'm not sure why you assume that I don't. But no, I did start a couple rules when I started at Joe's, and that was that I was only going to eat it when I had meetings with people that were coming in. So I'm obviously everybody's favorite to have meetings with, and so whenever I have meetings, that's my time. But otherwise, I eat a ton of grilled chicken and a ton of our salads. But yes, that's sort of my rule. So I will go a week or two without fries, things like that, because as Charles Barkley's doctor famously said a couple weeks ago, there's not a lot of fat old people walking around.
What the hell is a salad?
Yeah. I actually been to Joe's. I am not aware you guys serve salad.
Well, they say from January to March, there's people that do these new diets and fads and whatnot, and they typically will only last about 7 meals. So we try to give people that good old college try during the start of the year.
So when we were talking to Soren Petro, he said, hey, you know what? Eric Tata, he's buddies with Chris Jones. Maybe you can get the inside on what's going on there. What's the inside scoop?
Well, you know, he was here yesterday. Actually, he came in town, had a Ronald McDonald appearance, and he went and fed some kids at a hospital, which is awesome. He is a literally genuine great dude, and so I'm super torn because I hate that it's lasted this long. I don't think he anticipated it lasting this long. I think, as he mentioned yesterday, he's just looking for a raise, and I think, you know, when we talk about negotiations in any job or anything like that, when both sides want to be there, he wants to retire a Chief. And I think the ownership has said out loud that they want him to be here. So I feel like that's the biggest part of the equation to overcome. Now, I think it just comes down to the details. And that is obviously way above my pay grade. But I will tell you this, and Rich, you might know this as a former player. He claims that he is feeling the best he's ever felt by not going to training camp. That his body is actually in more better shape just from not taking as many bangs and bumps. But he trains like an animal in Miami, and so that part is good. But he claims that he's going to have a great year just because his body feels super rested.
Yeah, the unfortunate reality of offensive line or defensive line practice, and I was an offensive lineman, is the only way to get good at it, and he's already amazing at it, is by doing it. And doing it causes collisions, and collisions cause injury. I mean, it's just a part of the nature of the position. So I don't doubt it. I mean, and somebody who's been doing this for as long as Chris Jones, 29 years old, been playing in the league for a long time. Shoot, we overlapped for a short time. I got Chris Jones before he really turned into Chris Jones. He's an incredible football player. So, yeah, I mean, look, the one good thing is he's going to be well fed. That's one thing we absolutely know because of this relationship with Joe's. Here's my question for you. On the menu, and I'm sure this is like picking between children, but if you have to order one thing when you walk through the hallowed walls of that 47th Street Joe's location, like what do you walk away with?
So I think that you have to probably do a multi item approach, and so we actually have the ability to do that. So our most famous item is the Z-Man sandwich. And part of the reason why we know Soren so well is that the sandwich was actually named after a sports radio DJ. His name was Mike Zarek, and he started at Soren Station way back in the 90s. And so if you guys ever have dreams that they might name a sandwich after you, it is possible. So we have a Z-Man sandwich. We will sell 250,000 to 260,000 of those a year at our 3 locations.
Goodness.
And so then
1,000 per day.
Yeah. So another kind of Kansas City staple is a burn end, and that's basically the point of a brisket. And so we will cut those into sort of bite-sized cubes. The nickname for those is a meat marshmallow. It is when, again, a tender piece of meat will sort of, the fat melts into it and makes it really tender. That's sort of a thing that you get specifically in Kansas City. And then a rib, you got to try ribs really at any barbecue joint. And so if you can get a Z-Man, a couple rib bones, and you can just order them by the bone. So you could just say, hey, I'll take a Z-Man with 2 bones and a side of burn ends. That would be probably the go-to that gets you a little bit of everything you need. I went downstairs just to sort of prep for you guys, just to kind of see what game day was going to be. There's actually more Detroit fans than I anticipated, but so I wanted to see what the smokehouse was cooking up today. And just at our 47th Street location where I am today, we have 320 slabs that we're prepping, 350 pounds of brisket, and 340 pounds of pork.
Good Lord.
That's a lot
It
of
was like
slabs.
12
we have
years.
three, and we have 3 locations. So that's what like a Thursday game day will get us today.
Okay, Eric. Well, the tailgates in Kansas City are pretty legendary. Like they'll start sometimes the day before the actual game. Do you guys have a presence out at those things? Like, do you bring a F-150 with a smoker on the back?
We don't. We actually let people pick up. So we have actually developed an app and a curbside pickup just for people that will want to. So crazy is like for today's game, the gates will open at 4 hours ahead. So say they'll open at 3:00. There's actually people in lines right now waiting outside the gate. So they actually pre-tailgate outside the gates before they open. And then at 3:00, they'll open. So you got like a 4-hour window to get your grilling on, get your food, get your drinks, and then get into the stadium. So we do a ton of meat by the pound, or for people that are just wanting to set up their tailgate and not necessarily fire up the grill. We do a ton of that. So we actually developed an app and a curbside pickup that you can just swing by and get on your game. So that's kind of our call to fame. We will work with some national brands. We're working with hopefully a thing with the Eagles and Chiefs and doing something down the road. So we will go out there once or twice a year.
I mean, yeah, I don't even. I'm so excited right now. I'm so hungry.
Well, can the app deliver to San Diego?
Well, we are. I do want to make sure to plan that. I failed to get you guys some barbecue ahead of time, so I want to make sure before we got off the phone, I'm going to get your guys' addresses. We're going to send you a barbecue kit so that you guys can prep it at your house. And I know I was kind of pre-listening earlier. If you guys do another trivia, a little mustache trivia or something, we'd love to add a Joe's prize pack to one of your listeners. So make sure we add that to the next trivia you guys do. But I want to make sure you guys get some quality KC.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We actually do something called tailgate trivia on Fridays, and that prize pack that you're gonna send out here, we are going to make sure we do a Joe's BBQ tailgate trivia.
Yeah.
Whenever we have the prize pack, and the winner is going to walk away with that.
In fact, we're going to have you back on so you can ask questions with us.
That sounds perfect. That sounds perfect. And again, let's make that a staple, and we'll help get some out. We have our barbecue. We can do a 2-day ship. So anybody that needs barbecue sent out, we typically, again, that's the beauty of Kansas City. We're kind of this small, big town. And so we have tons of Chiefs fans out across the country. And so that's the way we get barbecue out in the country. And so that would be great. We would love to do that. That would be awesome.
Are you a real person? I feel like I'm talking to Elvis's hologram right now.
What is happening?
I mean, this is the best day of my life.
Eric Tata from Joe's Kansas City Barbecue. And Eric, I do have to ask, like, what makes it Kansas City barbecue? I mean, what do you do
What's
that makes it Kansas City? Yeah, like
why
how
is it
do
so
I
much
cook at
better
home?
than Texas?
Yeah.
So I'll give you the Chris Jones answer. Actually, we were talking, his agents were with him yesterday, and they haven't had it as much as he has. So we were talking, and he actually was talking, and they asked him the question, like, why Joe's? And he claims it's just consistency, and that's sort of our claim. We've got to make sure that we get the same guest that's coming in for the Detroit game that is going to come in, for the following weekend. And we have a ton of first-time visitors, so we want to make sure that memorable experience is there. So the way we do that is just being consistent, and it's kind of a low and slow. Kansas City style is low and slow. So our brisket and our pork is going to go on at 3 p.m. Today for tomorrow's food. So it'll smoke 16 hours low and slow.
Good Lord.
And then we get that. So we do that every day, and we're super consistent. We also close on Sundays to give our staff a break. So we just feel like the quality of product we've identified, that's the one thing our owners have done in their past competition. Pigs are like people. They some exercise, some eat more, some not. So we've identified what we think is a very quality, consistent item that has a certain shape, size. So we make sure we order quality products. We get those things smoked. We get those things consistent every day so that, again, and McDonald's leads the world in, you get a Big Mac in one part of the city, it's the same as in another state you might go to. And so we want to have that same philosophy that if we can make the same product every day, be very consistent, and have it be a competition quality food, then we think that if you believe advertising, and I go back to even with social media, word of mouth is the best thing. So if we can get everybody walking out of here saying that was a great meal, that's going to be the consistency that we want every day.
Bourdain said it's one of the 13 places you must eat before you die. Men's Health magazine called America's manliest restaurant. Joe's was named Kansas City's best BBQ by Zagat. USA Today said the ribs were the tastiest ribs in America. Food review site Yelp ranked Joe's Kansas City number 3 in the top 100 places to eat in the U.S. And Eric Tata, who works with Joe's in marketing, is that your role with Joe's?
Yeah, it's funny. We have like NFL Films are going to come film today and stuff, and they always walk in. They go, "Wow, we never thought a restaurant would have a marketing director."
Yeah,
and it's exactly why we do this stuff. So yeah, I actually do marketing and just to work with all the media and work with all the ad placement and stuff. And so it's a great job for sure.
Yeah, and you can add to your job title best friend of Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
That's correct,
guys. We can be in
Love
Kansas
it.
City
I'll always
tomorrow. $118 direct flight.
We can be there tomorrow.
We can be there tomorrow?
Yeah.
We're going to be there today.
We're going to be the only people who are flying in after the game.
Because if we wanted to go today, it'd be $400 per person.
We're here for the barbecue.
JoesKC.com? JoesKC.com. Yeah.
Ship everywhere. Okay. Eric, this was an absolute pleasure, and we will be doing it again soon. Thanks, brother.
We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Our former program director, Brian Long, would just be drooling over this conversation right now.
If he's listening, which I know he's a big fan, he's probably crying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Joe's KC BBQ. Go get you some. They got an app.
Wow.
They ship to San Diego. We're going to be awarding one of our listeners with a prize pack next week. This is the best day of our lives.
Wow. Lou Penrose from AM 600 Kogo texting in. He's a vegetarian and he wants Joe's.
Yeah. I am going to just walk around the building trying to find ribs.
That's correct.
They may have to be human.
Yeah.
I don't care. I need something barbecued stat. All right.
Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a fun partnership we might have just struck on
I'm gonna
air.
take a nap.
Also,
Travis, he said email him like ASAP.
What am I supposed to email?
give him our names, full names.
I'm going to add everyone to the email.
Give him our
social security numbers,
socials.
Yeah.
I'll give him tax records. I don't get whatever he needs, he can have. Okay.
I love it.
Coming up next, speaking of partnerships, Tom Brady has the most unlikely partnership in the I mean, what is going on with Brady these days? But before we get to that, speaking of tailgating, a great place to tailgate is off the back of a 4Runner. My goodness, there's plenty of room. It's room meets spaceship. It's got 3 rows. So if you fold down that back row, you have all of your tailgating supplies at your fingertips. And you show up at Snapdragon Stadium, for example. Maybe you're going out to the game, right? You're going out to see UCLA play the Aztecs. Bring your Toyota along with you. And if you're not into the 4Runner, if you're not into the Tacoma, if you're not into the gas-powered vehicles, they have a full line of Beyond Zero electrified vehicles like Toyota's all-new BZ4X with access to HOV lanes, 1 year of unlimited free charging with EV Go. And I've been a Toyota owner for, 6 years now. Got mine back in 2017, brand new 4Runner like I was just talking about, and it's been the most reliable vehicle we've ever owned. I don't have to do anything to this thing. It runs like a top. It's just incredible. So if you're driving around today and you're thinking about your next purchase, car, truck, SUV, your first stop should be at your local San Diego County Toyota dealer. Great deals on those super reliable vehicles. Their customer service is incredible, and there are new vehicles arriving daily at San Diego County Toyota dealers, and they're available now. So head to toyota.com, check out their supply, check out what your interests are. Super easy website to navigate. Get yourself a Toyota. We make it easy. All right, coming up next, Brady's new partnership is the weirdest one of all. We'll get to that. Sorry, gang. We are going to be wheels up in about an hour and a half, leaving from San Diego to Kansas City.
We're at joeskc.com just shopping for barbecue. Fine.
We got a little over our skis on that last segment. We're pretty excited with our new friend Eric.
God, did we just tell someone we love them on the first date?
Yeah.
Or ask them to marry us?
It's fine.
I want to meet your mom, Eric.
Why don't you ever talk about your family? Why haven't I met your parents, Eric? This is pretty serious.
I want you to meet my mom.
I hope Kevin Acey isn't listening. It's gonna get weird.
Well, Kevin, actually, yeah, it has. It's officially crossed the threshold. Yesterday on the show, Kevin Acey, for the first time ever, what we thought for ages now was unrequited love was just a myth. He was just shy. He was hiding it from us. Kevin Acey loves us, guys.
Yeah, you know what? We haven't really gone back in his past, so we don't know if he's just putting up a wall. We don't know if he's been hurt before.
Yeah, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's
I think for a while he was hurting us
twice. Can we get a third time? We love you, Kevin.
We love you, Kevin.
We love you, Kevin.
I love you.
Yeah.
That was a big day. It's been a hell of a week, boys.
Yeah. We've had a busy week. It was a short week because of Labor Day, but I think we made up a lot of ground.
Yeah. And tomorrow's Bar Card Friday, brought to you by Keg and Bottle.
God.
Holy crap, tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, we're doing it, Chief. And I do mean Chief. Go Chiefs. Lifelong fan. Always been. Always will
There was a
be.
while during that interview where I was questioning like my 49ers fandom.
Yeah, I was like, I probably look okay in red, I guess.
I was like, I mean, Joe Montana. Joe Montana did play for the
Look,
Chiefs.
jaundice.
Yeah, people be like, wow, your skin is really yellow. Well, it's the red. It really brings out.
That's total Chiefs colors.
All right. Yeah.
Who do we thank, Ben?
Eric. We thank Eric.
That's it.
Eric Tata. Also Soren Petro. Very Kansas City show today. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Travis. Thank you, Textures, Roadies, Hangers, Bangers. Yeah.
And we need a caller.
Oh my God.
We need a caller right now. What number? What number do we want?
Chevelle. How many letters are in the word Chevelle?
I'm going to guess 7.
There's 7 letters.
There's 8.
There's 8. Caller number 8 at 844-570-1360. You've just won Chevelle tickets.
Also, one more thank you. You guys are going to like this one. Thank you, NFL.
Yeah,
thank you,
NFL.
And Scott, our winner from Mustache You a Question.
Oh, that was big. And Scorpio.
Codename Scorpio.
We're thinking about you, buddy.
R.I.P., bro. Yeah.